And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Gilbert versus Roberts. Step forward, please.
Housekeeper Deborah Gilbert is suing her cousin, grill cook Danielle Roberts, for damage to her belongings. Deborah says that while babysitting Danielle's children, one of them set the room on fire.
According to your complaint, Miss Gilbert, you took in your cousin and her children into your home because they really had no place to go.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're suing her because you claim that her 2-year-old child started a fire in your bedroom, and you want her to compensate you for the damage that that fire caused.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what happened on the night of this fire. Where was Miss Roberts?
At work at the Waffle House.
And who was watching her children?
Her children were home with me.
And how old are her children?
The twins are 12.
12-year-old twins and the 2-year-old boy.
Yes, ma'am.
And tell me what happened with the 2-year-old.
When Miss Roberts left to go to work, she put the kids in the room that they slept in. He was to watch TV while the twins did their homework. However, they could not control him. At that time, one of my grandchildren was there visiting. She and I were in the bed, the twins.
How old was your grandchild who was visiting?
She was 2 also.
So your 2-year-old granddaughter was in your bed?
Yes, she was in my bed asleep.
Go ahead.
The twins kept screaming and hollering, and finally they said, "Auntie, you need to get Rondarius because he won't stop. He just keep acting bad."
Mm-hmm.
So they came again and said, "Auntie, you need to let Rondarius come in here with you. We got to do our homework." So I said, "Okay, just bring him and let him sit right there in the chair." One of the twins, Tanika, put him in the recliner. And I said, "Rondarius, be quiet." I said, "Because Auntie is going to sleep." And he would just sit there in the chair, and he still made noise. And I guess sometime or another, I dozed off. The next thing I know is that my daughter came into the room and said, "Get up, it's a fire."
What started the fire?
I had up on a table, I was burning a scented candle. And I don't know if he put paper or if he put some clothes on the fire and started the fire.
Just a second. So what you're telling me is he was able to reach that candle.
Yes, he was.
Then you should have watched him more carefully.
It was not my responsibility.
Yes, ma'am, it was your responsibility.
No, it was not.
Oh, yes, it was,
No, it
Miss
was
Gilbert.
not.
I'm speaking. You're not.
Okay.
She's at work. You assumed responsibility for your 2-year-old cousin when you said, "Come on into the room, put him in the chair," and you've got 2 babies in there, 2 years old. What you are doing, burning a candle, I have no idea. Why you would sue this lady, you're lucky she's not suing you. You're the adult. You're supposed to make sure that the children are safe. You fell asleep in a room with a lighted candle with 2 2-year-olds, and one of them was awake. One of them was brought into your room because his sisters couldn't control him. And you tell him to go sit in the recliner and behave while you fell asleep? Miss Gilbert, don't be ridiculous. Your case is dismissed.
Yeah, this is case number 294 on the calendar in the matter of Mucci versus Doherty. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. And have a seat.
How old are you, sir?
22, Your Honor.
Are you an only child?
No, I'm not.
Are you the baby in the family?
Yes, I am.
You know, I could have almost predicted that.
Yeah?
Yes, I could have.
Sorry, Your Honor.
You still live at home?
Yes.
This is just sort of research for me.
Uh-huh.
Now let's get to the lawsuit.
Okay.
He was driving your car
Yes, he was.
with your daughter in it.
Yes.
They were friends, boyfriend, girlfriend. He fell asleep. He wrecked the car.
Yes, he did.
He says it's not his fault. So I want to hear why it's not his fault. Go ahead.
I don't think it's all my fault. I think it's part my fault that I wrecked the car, but I don't think I'm...
Which part? First tell me when it happened.
I couldn't tell you the exact date, Your Honor, but...
Give me a month.
Month, March, I believe.
Beginning, middle, or end?
Beginning of March, Your Honor.
It would be March.
It was May 19th.
It was May 19th. That's close to March. They both start with an M. Okay. How did it come about that you were driving the plaintiff's car?
On the night of questioned, I was in bed sleeping. I received a phone call from Jessica stating that she was getting off work around 2 a.m. and she needed me to do her a favor. So she asked if she can come get me and go for a ride.
You were sound asleep. What time did she call you?
Around 2 o'clock in the morning.
And what time had you gone to sleep?
Maybe 12 o'clock. I work at 7 that morning.
Okay. And you were due to get up at 7.
Yes.
So why didn't you tell Jessica, don't stop by on your way home from work? You're driving, go directly home. I have to get up early in the morning.
I guess I'm a sucker for cute girls.
Yes. And you were just going to go out and do what at 2 o'clock in the morning?
Just, I guess, talk. I don't. We were just.
You were just going to talk.
She was bored. She wanted
let me
someone
explain
companion.
something
She
to you.
wasn't sleepy.
Let me explain something to you, sir. You're 22 years
Yes.
old. You didn't get out of bed because you thought you were going to talk at 2 o'clock in the morning. All right. So she came by your house, and you got dressed.
Yes.
And you went outside.
Yes.
And what happened when you went outside?
I got in the car. She was driving at the time. We drove around for a little bit, and then she was getting sleepy, so she asked me to drive.
When you drove around, you're just driving around?
Basically, yes.
Wow.
Well, at that point in time, she really can't come to my house, and I really can't go to her house, so...
Why is that?
Differences in the past.
Differences with whom?
My family and her family.
Oh. So it's like Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, sort of.
So you're driving around, and she's doing the driving, and then
Yes.
what happened?
She started to get sleepy also, so she asked me if I can drive. I told her that at the time I was also sleepy, that I didn't want to drive, but I gave in and decided to drive. I thought I was stronger than she was at the time, so
Well, that was a misjudgment
yes,
on your
it
part.
really was.
Because you fell asleep.
Yes.
What did you hit?
I hit a bus sign, a trash can, and 3 parking meters.
Lucky you didn't hit 3 people.
Yes.
Is the story he's telling me pretty accurate?
Almost.
Well, why don't you come up here and finish it? You're Jessica?
Yes.
All right, Jessica. First, why did you call him at 2 o'clock in the morning?
I had gotten off work and wanted to go get something to eat.
Yes.
So I called him, and he said he would come with me. So I came to his house, picked him up. We went on our way to get something to eat. I was tired, realized that we didn't want to go, and he offered to drive.
You were on your way
never
downtown, and you realized you didn't want to go.
I didn't want to go anymore. I was really tired myself. And he noticed and offered to drive. Get in the car, I'm sleeping. The next thing I know, I wake up and there's smoke everywhere, and I look behind me and there's all types of damage to the sidewalk and to the car.
What kind of car were you driving?
A Nissan Altima,
What year?
96.
Was the car fixed?
It's beyond repair. I have pictures and I have estimates. The estimate's more than the car's worth.
You have the Blue Book value on the car?
No, I don't.
Well, I need that.
Okay.
Would you see if you can get the Blue Book for me on this
Sure.
car? Thank you. We have a price?
$2,775.
Jesus. Now, Tracy,
Yes, Your Honor.
she was not smart to call you at 2 o'clock in the morning.
I wasn't smart to leave my house at 2 in the morning either.
That's right. Because you got more than the hamburger that you bargained for.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that you're not responsible.
I understand.
And when I read your answer, I said, I'm going to make scrambled eggs out of you.
Sorry.
But you look like a nice enough young man,
Thank you.
so I'm not going to make scrambled eggs out of you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm giving them $2,775 in a judgment because it was your fault. If somebody asks you to do something and you're not equipped to do it because you're tired, then you say, no, I can't drive. Let's pull over and call a cab. Pull over and call your mother, pull over and call my father, or we'll walk home. Better yet, you don't go out at all. But since you made all of those cumulative mistakes, you have to pay for it. Judgment to the plaintiff in the amount of $2,775. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
For a while there, he thought it wasn't his fault, but I think he's changed his mind.
I learned a lot of lessons in the result of this.
I was a little upset.
Don't answer your phone late at night if you're sleeping.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Munoz versus Madrigal, step forward, please.
Records clerk Rosalinda Munoz is suing shop owner Lupe Madrigal for the cost of 4 dresses and a photographer. Rosalinda says the dresses for her daughter's celebration were the wrong color.
Ms. Munoz, according to what I've read, your daughter was celebrating her 15th birthday. This is your daughter. And it is your custom to have sort of a coming out party, a big party, when a young lady reaches 15. Is that right?
Yes.
What is it called?
A quinceañera.
And you planned a large party, and as a matter of fact, there were several hundred people coming to the party.
Yes.
You commissioned the defendant to make dresses for your daughter's friends.
Yes.
And she agreed, and you came to a price. What was the price for the dresses?
The green dresses that we originally ordered were 120 each.
And how many did you order?
There were to be 11.
Your complaint is that 4 of the dresses came back in the wrong color.
Correct.
And you want that money back.
Right.
And you also want back the money that you paid to the photographer, because according to you, the pictures were not as you anticipated they would be because of the different color dresses. Ms. Madrigal says that she does in fact acknowledge the different colors. Even I could see. Are those the 2 different colors?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That they were totally different colors. She says slightly off shade. That's really bad. And that you shouldn't make such a big deal about it. That's basically a defense. Is that right?
Yes.
Is there any more that I left out?
We ordered the dresses.
You ordered the dresses from someone else. You didn't
Right,
make them.
exactly. No, we did not make the dresses.
Okay. Can I see those dresses, please? These were dresses that she was not making. She was buying. She was the middle person.
Right.
Where did the dresses come from, Miss Madrigal?
From Texas.
Well, they are lovely dresses, but I certainly see what you mean, that they're totally the wrong color.
Mm-hmm.
How many of these were there? 4?
4. Mm-hmm.
Did the girls wear them?
Yes, they did.
Can I see the photographs, please?
Yes.
Why don't you go up and stand next to your mom? Tell me your name.
Juliana.
Juliana? Bird, you can give these back to the plaintiff. Oh, these pictures are lovely. Juliana, it looks to me as if you had a great time at this party, did you?
Well, yes.
Your dress is beautiful. Your dress was white?
Yeah.
Why do you think that the defendant should be responsible for what you paid to the photographer?
Because the pictures and the video are what's left to us as memories of the event.
Why do you think it's her fault that the manufacturer sent the wrong dresses?
I don't think it's her fault that the manufacturer sent the wrong dresses. What I think is that she should have did something for us. She gave these girls their dresses the day of the event. They arrived 2 days prior to the event.
Did the girls go to pick them up 2 days prior to the event?
No, they went to look at them 2 days prior to the event.
Right.
And pick them up the day of the event.
Well, that's not her fault.
That's not her fault, but she could have did something as far as the color. She has a boutique. It's a store. This is a once-in-a-lifetime event. It doesn't...
Ms. Munoz, she's not responsible for your photographer. You purchased the dresses from her, from a manufacturer. She was the middle person. Manufacturer sent 4 of the dresses in the wrong color. You had an option at that point. Your option was not to take the dresses and go out and find other dresses, or take the dresses and use them.
Mm-hmm.
Did she give you a discount on the 4 dresses?
Yes, she did.
What was the discount?
Half price.
So you actually paid $60 a piece for those dresses?
Correct.
Did you pay for, Miss Madrigal, those 4 dresses?
Yes, I did. And I had ordered shawls, and not only that, but the shawls did not come in. What I did is I ran around all the fabric stores until I found the color. That's when I told Mrs. Munoz that I had found the color of the fabric if she wanted us to make the dresses. She told me yes at one time, so I told the seamstress we're going to have to stay until we're done with these dresses. I gave all the girls free alterations for the air, and I gave the girls a 50% off those light colored dresses.
Well, what did she say when you said, I can make the dresses and we'll stay all night?
She said there was not enough time.
She said there was not enough time.
Yes, she did.
Anyway, the pictures look beautiful. You had a wonderful time? Sure you did.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that because some of your girlfriends wore white dresses, you were miserable the whole day. I mean, that's ridiculous. You don't want me to think you're ridiculous, do you? No, of course not. You had a wonderful time. That's what you're supposed to have. You're not supposed to get bogged down with little things that really, in the scheme of life, are meaningless. You had a wonderful time. And if a dress is going to make you miserable, then your priorities are all off. Do you understand that?
But my friends, when they see the dresses, they don't want to come in my quinceañera.
Listen, if your friends are being stupid, that doesn't mean you have to be stupid. Right? Huh? If a member of your family couldn't be there because of illness or because of something else, that's a reason to be sad. Because the dress is the wrong color? Get your priorities straight.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
she didn't want my boyfriend there. If my boyfriend came to the house, he had to go directly to my room. He couldn't sit on our furniture. He couldn't sit in the living room. She just didn't like him. She didn't want him there.
Grow up.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rosalinda Munoz says shop owner Lupe Madrigal owes for the cost of 4 dresses. Rosalinda says they were the wrong color.
Seems to me, Miss Munoz, that the defendant did everything that was reasonable under the circumstances. She ran around, she made the shawls herself, charged you half price for the dresses. You took the dresses, you used them. You used them for the event.
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. The shawls and this off-white color don't match. They're a little bit different. They almost match, but they're different.
What are you going to do with the dresses?
You can see that in the pictures.
What are you going to do with the dresses?
Nothing.
What are you going to do with the green dresses?
Nothing.
Now you'll do the same nothing with the white dresses.
Right.
Miss Munoz, get a life. Listen, and don't teach your daughter the wrong thing. This lady did the best she could under the circumstances. If you didn't want the dresses, all you had to do was say, listen, I'll go out and find other dresses. I'm not paying you at all for the dresses. I'm not using them.
But, Your Honor, I was in a time restraint there. I had
Of course
2
you
days.
were.
This event took me over a year to plan. Over a year. It's like a wedding. It's a once-in-a-lifetime event.
Yeah,
This
you're only
was-
15 once.
Exactly.
You're only 20
And this
once.
was
You're only
ruined.
21 once. You're only 25
You're
once.
right.
You're only 50 once.
You're right, but this
And later-
event was ruined for my daughter because of this mistake.
I am
These
going to tell you,
dresses-
and I am going to tell you something. If what you tell me is that the event was ruined because of the dress, I am telling you that you and your daughter don't have your priorities straight. If a whole event is ruined because the color of a dress is off, you and your daughter better sit down and reevaluate what's important in life. This is not. You use the dresses for their intended purpose.
We had no choice.
No, you had a choice. Your choice was to go and get other dresses.
Not in 2 days, we couldn't.
Yes, you could have, and you would have had to pay for them. These dresses you got half price. It was a bargain. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
After a year of planning, we only had 2 days, so we had no choice.
I did my best.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime event.
We worked over hours, you know, trying to get all the alterations done, and we did it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Buchanan versus Cable. Step forward, please.
20-year-old office manager Jennifer Buchanan is suing her former roommate, 19-year-old salesperson Desiree Cable, for breaking their apartment lease. Desiree says Jennifer was acting like a mother.
Miss Buchanan, I assume that you and the defendant were friends when you signed this one-year lease on an apartment. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you sign the lease?
On February 7th, 2003.
And rent on the apartment was how much?
It's $880 a month.
Is it 1 bedroom or 2?
2.
Were you both working?
Yes.
Great. Okay. And according to your complaint, Miss Cable at some point early on in the lease moved out. She, according to you, moved back with her boyfriend. And she continued to pay the rent on the apartment, despite the fact that she was not living there, for how many months?
4 to 6 months.
When did you move out?
I moved out probably the end of March.
So April, May, June, July, and August. 5 months you paid rent.
Right.
Correct?
No, August 1st, she stopped paying everything.
So she paid rent for 4 months.
Correct.
And you want her to be responsible for her share of the remainder of the lease.
Correct.
What did you do to get another roommate?
I never did. I mean, we just met and we came into this on an agreement
No, I
together.
understand that's what you're saying to me. She moved out of the apartment in March.
Correct.
You know that she's not moving back because she's living with her boyfriend. What did you do to do the right thing and try to get another roommate?
I can't get another roommate. We came into this, it's for the first 12 months of the lease, it is based on your income. So there was not anybody, I mean, I would have to find somebody specifically within her income restrictions in order to move in because mine didn't change.
What did you do to try to get another roommate?
Nothing.
You have to. Why did you move out?
She was acting like my mother. She didn't want my boyfriend there. If my boyfriend came to the house, he had to go directly to my room. He couldn't sit on our furniture. He couldn't sit in the living room. She just didn't like him. She didn't want him there. So I moved out.
Why didn't you like a boyfriend?
I never had a problem with her boyfriend, to my knowledge.
In any event, she wanted to move back. According to your answer, Ms. Buchanan said that she had a new roommate starting in August.
She said that her boyfriend lease ran up at the end of July, and she was going to ask him to move in.
When did she tell you that?
Probably beginning of April, she had mentioned it.
Listen, you have a responsibility to mitigate damages, but she also has a responsibility, if she's moving out, to find another roommate for you. Except you told her your boyfriend was moving in.
No, I didn't tell her he was moving in. Mentioned it, that there could be a possibility, but the leasing department said no, that the income wouldn't work.
When did you tell her that?
I came home and there was a note saying that she's not paying. I never gave her a yes or no answer. So I said,
well, you better find a roommate, madam.
me?
You better find a roommate. She's not paying any more rent.
Exactly.
I'm telling you, she's not paying any more rent. You have a responsibility to mitigate the damages. You allowed her to move out. You said, my boyfriend may be moving in. His lease is up at the end of July, which means that she didn't look for anybody else because she assumed that your boyfriend was going to move in. Miss Cable did the right thing. She acted honorably in paying rent, even though she wasn't living there for 4 months. 4 months is a long enough period of time for you to try to find somebody else. You did not. That's not her problem. Grow up. Goodbye. Your case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out. That's case number 326 on the calendar in the matter of Marion versus Lauterbach. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Miss Marion, you and the defendant were together, according to your complaint, for 9 years.
Yes, ma'am.
And for a good part of that period, you lived together.
Yes, ma'am.
Who is this?
This is my mother, Your Honor.
The two of you lived together in his mother's house, at least for part of the time.
Yes, Your Honor.
For how many years?
We lived in her house from November of '02 to March of '03.
And prior to that, where did you live?
In Texas, Your Honor.
Just the two of you?
Yes.
Have you ever been married?
No, ma'am.
How old are you?
I'll be 30 next month, 29.
And how old are you?
30, Your Honor.
Your lawsuit, Miss Marion, claims that when the two of you separated, when you moved out of his mother's house, he retained some property that belongs to you. That was your property.
Yes, Your Honor.
You want it back.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Lauterbach says that you took whatever you wanted, whatever you left was either his property or property that the two of you accumulated during the course of your relationship, and he is counterclaiming. His counterclaim is for damage that your dogs caused to his mother's landscaping, and he said that there was some sort of an agreement that the landscaping would be refurbished by you after you left, or if and when your dogs did any damage to the property. I read Mr. Lauterbach's answer, and I read it very carefully, so I have to ask you a few questions just for my own curiosity that really have only a marginal piece of interest for the case.
Okay.
But for me, it's fascinating.
Okay.
You look like an intelligent young woman. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Lauterbach says that about 6 years ago, you were told him you wanted to marry, you were interested in marrying and starting a family, and he said to you 6 years ago, I'm not interested in marriage.
Right.
And the reason that the two of you separated recently, by the way, what month did you separate?
August, Your Honor.
The reason you separated and the reason you left is because you once again said to him, I want to get married, you know?
Yes, ma'am.
My clock's ticking. Want to get married. And once again, Mr. Lauterbach said, listen, I don't think you heard me the first time, dear. I told you I wasn't interested.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right?
That's about it. Yes, Your Honor.
So the first thing I'm going to tell you is I'm going to tell you and everybody else who may be within earshot of these words. When a man says, I'm not interested in getting married, they usually mean it.
Okay.
All right?
Sure.
And unfortunately, life is not fair. Women have a much narrower blossom, for want of a better word. You see, he can go out there and when he's 65, he can make a baby. He may not be able to walk it around the block, but he can start a family at 65.
Sure.
I mean, Charlie Chaplin was, I don't know, 106 when he decided to have children. Women don't have that advantage.
Right.
Right? So he wasted a good deal of your time. To his credit, he told you he was wasting your time.
Yes, Your Honor. I thought he might change. My fault. My fault.
They don't change.
I know.
They only get worse.
I know this now. Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
Just my own curiosity. Could you stand up just for a second? Who else lives in your home with you?
My husband and my youngest son.
How long have you been married?
23 years.
You think that they get better as they get older?
Do they get better? No.
You just get used to him. What property do you want?
I would like my NASCAR collection back.
NASCAR collection! Before you answer this question, you're going to tell me that this is property you accumulated together?
Mostly, yes.
I want you to watch my face very carefully. And just think of the 9 years of her life that you've wasted. She gets the car collection. You got it? You got it?
Okay.
Thank you.
What else?
There is a fine bone china collection that was given to me because I took care of a lady's elderly mother who has since passed.
He doesn't look like he eats off fine bone china.
No.
Right?
I have no idea where these dishes are or what they are.
I can tell you
never
where
saw
they are.
them.
Just a second. She's going to tell us.
Okay.
It's in the holiday closet in the hallway in the back in a white box marked fragile all over it.
Know where that is?
I can look.
We're going to find it. What else?
There is a camera that's
What
an
kind of
Olympus camera. I have the box, Your Honor. He gave that back to me, but no camera.
Where's the camera?
The camera is mine at the house
Well, tell me how it's yours.
because I bought it with my money.
For you or for the two of you?
For me.
He purchased that camera for me in 2000 for my, how old am I? 27th birthday.
Does that sound right?
No.
When did you purchase the camera?
It was back in Dallas. As far as a date, I have no idea. I wish I had the receipt.
Well, she does. She said if you don't remember, she remembers. She says you bought it for her birthday.
Okay.
And you gave it to her for her birthday, and you don't remember when you bought it.
No, I don't remember when I bought it.
She remembers.
Okay.
She gets the camera.
Okay.
Along with the china and the NASCAR collection.
Okay.
Don't get piggish. What else?
There's a pink doghouse, Your Honor, that is for my dogs. And,
Pink doghouse.
yes.
She's welcome to that.
What else? What else? Come on, wrap it up. So far, you're batting 1,000.
I'm sorry.
And we're going to get to the landscaping.
There's an e-machine computer, Your Honor. Now, this is a little, I'm not sure how this is going to go because...
If you're not sure, don't go there. But so far, you're batting 1,000.
I know, but his mother and I went to Walmart, and I purchased the computer, but his mother put it on her credit card, and I paid her 2 days later with cash that she claims
Did she pay you back?
No.
Well, that has nothing to do with him, you see. That's between the
Yes,
two
I
of
know.
you. So, next time, if you feel like suing her, you can. What's next?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You know the dogs were coming?
I told her she had to get rid of them.
Oh, you did, but
Yes.
you moved in anyway.
I wasn't going to leave her by
Just
herself.
a second. You moved in anyway.
Yeah.
With the dogs.
Yes, with the dogs.
And later today,
I had made it known to her that I could not have afforded to buy the car and an engagement ring.
He said, why buy the milk when you can get the cow for free? He had no intentions of getting married.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rosella Marion says ex-boyfriend Jason Lauterbach owes for the return of a NASCAR collection, fine china, and a ring she won in Las Vegas. Jason says Rosella is mad because he won't marry her.
What else?
Oh, there's a mini refrigerator, Your Honor, that I purchased at Lowe's. I have the receipt for that.
Mini refrigerator.
I have that. She bought that for me upon my return to Albuquerque so I could put snacks I liked in my room.
In your room?
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't share a room with her?
It was our room, but she said it was for me.
It was our
That's why
room.
I kept it.
How much did you pay for it? $50?
80, Your Honor.
Forget it. What's next? What's next?
That's it, Your Honor.
Good, perfect. We've resolved your case. All those things, go back to her. Now let's get to your landscaping. Okay, a few questions for you. You moved in together in your mother's house in the year 2002?
I'm not good with dates. I think so,
2002.
yes.
Is that right? November of 2002 is what you said?
I moved in 2002, Your Honor.
Okay.
He moved in March 2003.
That's right.
So you moved in with his mother before he moved in with his mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you have any arrangement with his mother about your dogs?
Yes, ma'am. I asked her several times because I was very concerned. I have a Great Dane, Your Honor, not a small dog. I have a Pit Bull Chow Mix, Your Honor, that's 88 pounds. I have a Mutt, that's 43. That's like over 250 pounds a dog. And she said, fine, I don't care what it takes, just as long as you guys get back here. She was very excited for us to get back. So, yes,
Okay.
she agreed.
Fine. What?
When I could say something?
Right now.
Okay.
Did you welcome
she
enter the
did.
house with the dogs?
Well, did I welcome? I wasn't going to stop her from moving in because of the dogs.
Good.
Okay.
Perfect.
But I did not, as far as just saying that she could bring these huge animals into my home and that it would be okay, you know, just to cause damage. It's more than just the dogs. It was also cats inside the house.
You invited her.
Well, I did.
Good.
I did.
Good. Have a seat.
Okay.
And they ripped up the garden?
The yard, the
They
entire
ripped up
backyard.
the yard?
Yeah.
And they have been doing that since November of 2000. Shh. Okay. And they have been doing that since November of 2002.
Yes, ma'am, I do have
What kind
pictures.
of? I'm not interested in
Okay.
pictures. What do you do for a living?
HVAC tech,
What is that?
air conditioning, heating and AC.
So, you work with your hands?
Mm-hmm.
I want you to take care of your mother's yard on the weekends. Go get some sod, go get some seed, rake it up, take care of it. Do you understand?
No,
This was your problem together. You lived together before with the dogs, I assume, in Texas, is that right?
Yes.
All right. And you were moving to be close to your mother? And you knew the dogs were coming? You knew the dogs were coming?
I told her she had to get rid of them.
Oh, you did, but
Yes.
you moved in anyway.
I wasn't going to leave her by
Just
herself.
a second. You moved in anyway.
Yeah.
Good. With the dogs. With the
Against-
dogs.
Against my, yeah. Yes, with the dogs.
Deal with it.
Okay.
Got it? Property within 5 days. Thank you very much. That's
thank
all.
I didn't get to defend myself at all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't know what happened.
I thought men would change, and I've learned they don't.
I have 3 letters of her cheating on me. Speaking of wasting 9 years.
I told him that I wanted to get married and have children, and he said no.
I've got another one from Dear Abby telling her to seek mental help.
Men don't change.
And now the next case.
Parties on in Cabo versus Butterworth. Step forward, please.
Postal worker Diego Cabo is suing his ex-girlfriend, Treva Butterworth, for unpaid rent and for the down payment on a car. Treva has a countersuit for the unpaid balance on the vehicle.
Mr. Rancabo, you dated Miss Butterworth briefly, according to what I've read, and I gathered that while you were dating her, her former boyfriend was incarcerated. Is that true?
Yes.
And she had run into some hard times, and it's your claim that you loaned her some money to pay her rent, and that you also gave her an engagement car. Because you were going to buy her an engagement ring. She said, I don't want a ring. I can't use a ring, but I could use a car. So you put the down payment on a car, and since it was instead of an engagement ring, you think she should give you the down payment back.
Correct.
Miss Butterworth says that she received those things from you. Both were gifts. The car was a gift, the rent was a gift, and she is counterclaiming. You ready for this one? She's counterclaiming for the rest of the payments that she has to make on the car because she says it was a gift and that you should, despite the fact that your relationship is over, continue to pay for the car as you promised you would. That's your counterclaim.
Yes.
Okay. So I need some dates from you. You started to date Miss Butterworth when, sir?
Approximately by my birthday, which was January 6th of this year.
When did your boyfriend go to jail, Miss Butterworth?
He was incarcerated for 18 months. It was 2002.
Starting when?
March of 2002.
Okay. You have children?
Yes, I do.
How many children?
I have 3.
Did they all 3 children live with you?
Yes.
Are any of the children of the boyfriend who was in jail?
Yes, 1.
The youngest?
Yes.
Is this the boyfriend?
Yes.
So, when was the boyfriend released from jail?
July 27th.
When was the car purchased?
On July 11th.
Tell me the circumstances surrounding that, Mr. Rancabo.
Okay, well, a family member had the car and was looking to sell the vehicle. We both took a look at it and decided that we wanted to buy the car.
Were you living with her at the time?
Yes, I was.
Go ahead.
And so on that date, we went over to her parents' house and we signed the contract. I made payment on the car and we took possession of the car.
So?
I had made it known to her that I could not have afforded to buy the car and an engagement ring, so I had asked her which one did she want. She said it was okay to get the car and that would be her engagement ring.
Yes, go ahead.
He said, why buy the milk when you can get the cow for free?
Why what?
Why buy the milk when you can get the cow for free? He had no intentions of getting married.
Why don't you tell me your version of what he said to you when he bought the car?
First of all, my dad had sold his car and I had detailed it for him. And he was like, oh, wow, if I had the money, I'd buy that for you. And he wanted quite a bit more, and he didn't want to have payments. So when my stepbrother was selling his car, he says, oh, that's a great car. He went over, he took a look at it on his own with my stepbrother, came back, that's great, it's immaculate, it's, oh, what a steal, he's going to give it to me for $2,500 since I'm buying it for you. And I was like, well, did you drive it? He goes, oh, no, I didn't even get in the car and start it up. It looks so good. I just knew I had to have it.
All right. So July 11th, he purchased the car. Boyfriend got out of jail July 27th. How long did it take for the boyfriend to move back in with you?
He still hasn't moved back in with me.
Well, he's here today. Where did he sleep last night?
He stayed the night with me last night.
Excuse me?
He stayed the night with me last night.
Of course. So, whether he moved in with you or whether he didn't move, how long did it take him to come back into your life?
I believe he contacted me a day or two after he was released.
And then?
He wanted to see his son.
And then how long did it take for him to move out of your life?
It was probably 3 or 4 weeks.
And by that time, you've had the car for about 3 weeks.
Correct.
Right? I just want to know about your counterclaim. You don't get the money. We don't have engagement cars, sir. You have engagement rings and you have cars. There's no issue that this was a loan. This was not a loan that you made for her. It was some sort of a hybrid of something. I don't know what it was. You certainly didn't take into consideration that he was getting out of jail July 27th and you were going to be nudged out of bid. So the car is a total wash. Your down payment, sir, is gone. Finished. Over. Got it? Now let's talk about the rent. You say she owes you for rent. Tell me about it.
Well, the month after we started dating, the defendant had made numerous references that
Look at me when you're telling me the story, sir, so I can tell whether you're telling me the truth.
Yeah, she kept insisting that we move in together because she didn't want me to live, out of 2 houses. She kept
Was she working at the time?
No, Your Honor.
She needed somebody to pay the bills.
Yes, Your Honor.
And it was a short term because he was getting out of jail in July.
Yes.
Keep going.
But she had already given me or sent me letters that told me that she was never going to get involved with her boyfriend again, that she actually sent a letter to him while he was in prison saying that it was over.
He didn't believe her.
I believe it.
And she didn't mean it.
I did mean it.
Keep going.
When the March rent was due, the defendant didn't have the money to pay the rent, so...
Were you living there with her?
Yes, I was.
So you paid the rent?
Yes.
So? You think she made a fool out of you?
Yes, I do.
She probably did. What does that have to do with the court? You moved in with her. You paid the rent. You knew she wasn't working. You were supporting her.
Correct.
And the 3 children who lived with her, including his child, if she wasn't working. Then he came back, and she said, toodaloo, go. Then you say to yourself, I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to be stupid again. She took me for a ride. But that doesn't mean that courts compensate you for that. Do you understand that, Mr. Incabo?
Yes.
Now, Ms. Butterworth, do you honestly believe that a court is going to give you the payments for the car that remain outstanding?
I think that he is responsible for that car, yes. He gave me that car. He didn't give me that car half paid for.
He gave you the car in anticipation of the 2 of you being together.
Mm-hmm.
That was not your intention.
Many, 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 many things.
Good.
Many, many months.
Then, Miss Butterworth,
And
then I want you to...
him,
Am I speaking? When I'm speaking, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
If he gave you many, 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 many things while you were together, and he's not saying, I want those things back. Mm-hmm. Those were gifts. We haven't spoken about those many, many things. You don't want to be responsible for the car payments anymore?
No.
Good, then give him back the car, and he'll take over the rest of the payments. Do you want to do that?
No, I don't.
Then make the payments. Thank you very much.
Can I tell you something?
No.
Okay.
Yes, it's case number 112 on the calendar in the matter of Ross versus Westfield. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
Mr. Ross, reading between the lines in your complaint, I gather that you and the defendant dated briefly while she was separated from her husband.
Yes, ma'am.
And it is your claim that during that time, you loaned her a television set and a telephone that had a caller ID on it. And you want those items back. That's what this case is about. Ms. Westfield says that you gave her absolutely nothing during the brief time that you dated or were in a relationship, that she went back to her husband and that she, in fact, loaned you $300 for some reason that she's going to tell me, and that you also stole a ring that belonged to her husband that she wants back.
Right, yes.
Okay, so first tell me when you met her, Mr. Ross, and how you met her.
I met Christine in late December. I met her at a gas station. She had a military uniform on, and I was in the military. I was in the United States Navy, and that kind of sparked up the conversation. So she was pumping her gas, and we was talking about the Navy, and I said, hi, how you doing? Got to talking, and asked her, could I take her out to dinner? She said that would be fine. And then she gave me a pager number at that time. She said, you can't call my house because I'm still living with my husband. So she gave me the pager number to call her.
But she told you she was separated from her husband.
She said that at that time she told me that she was separated, but then she said her husband still lives at the house.
Okay. So far, is that right?
We met in early January. That was the only discrepancy, but yes.
Other than that. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, and at that time I would call her. She would come visit me. She came and visited me for the first time on New Year's Eve. So we spent New Year's Eve together, and at that time she spent the night at that time. She complained about her husband being mean to her, and I said, hey, you might get in trouble. So she said she's gonna stay at her sister's house. That's what she told him. She's gonna stay at her mom's house, but she was staying at my house. She was at my house at that time. During the period of the time, we dated on and off. I spent the night at her house. She spent the night at my house.
So you mean ultimately her husband left the house?
Eventually he left. After about 3 weeks he had left. And then I started spending the night over there because she was scared. She was scared because he had threatened her with a gun, said that he would kill her, pointed the gun at her. So she was scared for her safety. So she said, I didn't want to go over there, Jan. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't want to go over there. But, you know, and I'll be honest with you, because she said he had a gun, because he's some kind of security guard or something. And I said, hey, shh,
please.
You know, but I've been in that situation before. I've been on his side before. I've been a guy that was kind of rough towards women, but I learned my ways. I was taught better than that.
All right, let's get to the television and that cell phone.
Okay, at that time, they was going through the divorce. What had happened was he had the police come over there and take the stuff. He took a fax machine, he took a TV, and at that time, she called me. I said, how can he come get stuff? Because when I went through my divorce, I had to wait for my divorce procedure.
Okay, so took the stuff, and what did you say?
I said, I think you need to see a judge before he can take any of your stuff. But she said, I'm tired of him. I just wanted to get his stuff. He can take whatever he wants. She doesn't want to waste any more time with him. So at that time, she said her daughter had a PlayStation 2. You have to have a certain TV to play that. So I had that TV where you can plug the adapter. So I said, you can use that TV, but I'm going to need to get that back. She said she was going to get her income taxes or something like that and buy a whole new TV set. So at that time, I had brought the TV over. Her husband kept calling her, hanging up, threatening her on the phone. So I said, hey, use the call ID, because I was trying to look out for her, Yana. I said, use the call ID. I said, anytime he calls, you know, you can get him on the call ID. You can mark it, show it to the police station.
So she didn't have a caller ID.
She didn't have a call ID on her phone. So I said, you can use that. But I said, I'm going to need all this back, Christine, because I don't know, Christine was going back and forth. She said that she loved her husband, said she liked me. She kept going back and forth, so I didn't want to.
So that's how she got the stuff. Right. Okay. All right, Miss Westfield. Is what you're telling me Mr. Ross is suffering from some sort of psychosis? You
Yes.
believe he's suffering from a psychosis?
I do. Because ever since I had told him I didn't want to talk to him, he's made my life miserable.
I don't care if he's made your life miserable, Miss Westfield. I want to know about the television set.
I've never received a television or a TV. I know we were talking about it, but he didn't have a car, so he could never bring it over. So I never got it.
I don't think I believe that.
Well,
because if you're going to make up a story about owing money, owing property, you wouldn't make up a story about things that are so cheap as a television and a cell phone. You would say she said she needed money for a lawyer. I gave her $1,500. She needed money to pay bills. I lent her $2,000. This story that your husband came, cleaned out the house, took TV, all sounds right to me. And he doesn't look like a psycho.
Well, Your Honor, my husband never took anything out of our house. We never went that far in our divorce for division of property.
I didn't say that you went that far into division of property, but that doesn't mean he didn't take things out of the house, Miss Westfield. You understand?
Yes, I do.
Now, you want to tell me about your counterclaim?
My counterclaim is that I gave him $300 in cash to fix his car because he said my husband had did something to a wire and made it stop. So
When was that?
This was in February.
Well, tell me about it, Miss Westfield.
So I gave him the $300.
No, tell me about the whole incident. He came to you and said...
Curtis had came to me and said that his car wasn't working when one day before it was working. So then the next day he came and said it wasn't working.
Try looking at me right here.
And he said that my husband was messing around with his car, and I didn't agree with him at that time. But his car wasn't, it wouldn't start. So I felt obligated, because things were getting all out of control, felt obligated to give him some money so his car could, he could get it fixed. So I gave him $300 in cash. He said he would pay me when he got his first unemployment check. And then one day he came over to my house and I was showing him my husband's rings. And I don't know why I showed him these rings, but I did. And he was like looking at them, and then we had a conversation, and I wanted to prove to him that I wasn't going to go back with my husband. So I had shot one ring and threw it in the garbage, and then I went back into my room to put the other rings away. So then when I came back, we had a conversation, he left. Then the next day I noticed he had my husband's ring on.
So you took your husband's ring, you were so angry, and you threw it in the garbage?
Right, just one of them.
One of them?
Right.
After you threw the ring in the garbage, what did you do with the garbage?
Well, at that time it wasn't full, but in like a day or two, I'm sure I just threw it out.
So, Miss Westfield, it would be fair to say that you discarded that ring.
Correct.
He took it after you discarded it.
Right.
That's abandoned property, Miss Westfield. You abandoned that property. Therefore, Mr. Ross was entitled to take it. It's like if you put a sofa out on the curb for trash to take, and somebody says, one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I owe her about maybe $35, and I give her that right now.
Take it out of your wallet.
It's like $30. Or did I say 35? 35.
You did say 35.
And later today,
In the morning when we woke up, we turned the TV on, but there was a big red blob in the middle.
What did Cameron tell you?
That the oldest one slammed him against the TV.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Curtis Ross says that during his affair with Christine Westfield, he loaned her the use of a television and a cordless phone. Curtis claims she refuses to give them back.
You threw his ring in the garbage. He took the ring out of the garbage. You didn't say to me, right away I went looking for the ring because I realized I made a mistake.
Well, that was my intention to do.
No. What you just told me that Miss Westfield, listen to me carefully.
Mm-hmm.
What you said was the garbage wasn't full. 2 or 3 days later, I took it and threw it away. You never even looked for the ring in the garbage. That's what you told me, right? Don't change your story now. Mm-hmm. You're not entitled to the ring back. Did she ever give you $300 to fix your car?
No, she didn't. What she did, Your Honor, she gave...
Look at me. Try looking at me. Don't you touch your papers.
I'm sorry. What she did is she gave me a Quest card. A Quest card is like a food stamp card to use to go shopping because she gets like welfare.
So what you're telling me is she never gave you $300. She gave you a Quest card.
She gave me a Quest card. At that time, she did not have a job. So she said she's been using her credit card. So I gave her $154 to put on her credit card. And, Your Honor, I owe her about maybe $35, and I give her that right now.
Take it out of your wallet.
I think it's like... You want me to give it to her?
I want you to give it to Officer Bird.
It's like $30. Or did I say 35? 35.
You did say 35. Okay.
See for this?
Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm gonna need a receipt because I might have to come back for that. We might have to sue her again for that.
Thank you.
Now, you have a receipt for the television set?
No, ma'am. I don't have a receipt for that.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid $269. It has a remote control on it.
And the phone?
And the phone, I pay like, it's a cordless phone. I pay like $65 for that.
You have a receipt for that?
No, ma'am.
Well, you got a lot of problems with that receipts, Mr. Ross.
I know. I didn't think that she would do this to me, Yana. I was trying to help her out.
Well, she did, Mr. Ross. So you're supposed to have receipts. Issuing a judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $275, and I am dismissing your counterclaim, Ms. Westfield. I don't believe that you loaned him any money, and the ring that you are demanding the return or value of, I believe you discarded, and he merely took it out of the garbage. Thank you very much. This case is over.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I knew I was gonna win
I'm very upset.
because she's been lying through this whole thing.
It was all just a big lie.
I tried to help her out, and it turned around and it bit me.
You know, he's making...
Ted Kelly is suing his granddaughter's friend, 18-year-old Nicholas Rundy, for crashing his car while driving intoxicated. Nicholas says the accident wasn't his fault.
Mr. Kelly, this is your...
granddaughter.
And you own a car?
Yes.
You let your granddaughter use the car?
Yes.
What kind of car is it?
It's a 2002 Pontiac Grand Am.
You're a very, very good grandpa.
Yeah, I try to be.
How many grandchildren do you have?
4.
Is this the oldest?
Yes.
You don't play favorites, do you?
Try not to.
Try not. I know. Well, Mr. Rundy over here wrecked your car. And he says, it's not my fault. It's somebody else's fault.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you wreck Mr. Kelly's car?
April 4th, I do believe.
At what time of the day or evening did you wreck his car?
Around 10 o'clock at night,
Where had you been earlier that evening?
over at Alicia's house.
How many people were at Alicia's house?
Her, myself, Philip, and 2 of my friends.
So 1 girl
1 girl,
and 4 boys.
4 boys.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ted Kelly claims his granddaughter's friend, 18-year-old Nicholas Rundy, wrecked his car during a night of drinking. Nicholas says Ted's granddaughter is also to blame.
Now, how old is Alicia?
18,
And who does she live with?
by herself.
By herself.
Mm-hmm.
What time did you get there?
8 o'clock probably. She called Philip's cell phone to have us come over just to hang out.
Don't offer me any information that I didn't ask for, Mr. Rundy.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll get all the information I need. At what time did you take Mr. Kelly's car?
9:30 or so.
How much had you been drinking?
A couple glasses of mixed drink.
Of what?
Rum, I do believe.
Who mixed them?
We did.
Who's we?
Me and Philip and everybody, they were pouring our own drinks.
Who mixed your drink?
Me,
And who mixed your second drink?
myself.
And if you had a third drink, who would have mixed your third drink?
Myself.
Where did you get the mixers from?
We didn't have any mixers, we were just pouring them from the bottle.
Well, then that's not a mixed drink, unless you were mixing scotch and rye, and you weren't mixing alcohol, were you?
No.
Because that would have been really dumb.
Right.
So were you having straight drinks or mixed drinks?
Straight drinks.
So you had a few straight drinks, and you took the car about 9 o'clock at night. Who was in the car with you when you took it?
Philip.
And at what point did the car get wrecked?
Around 9:45, I do believe.
Did you receive any sort of citation that day from the police department?
No, ma'am.
Did the police arrive at the scene?
Yes.
Did they give you a breathalyzer test?
No.
Did they take you to a hospital?
No, they just questioned me about the car and arrested me for public intoxication.
So you didn't get a citation, you got arrested.
Yeah.
So if you got arrested for public intoxication, you must have been really drunk.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were driving.
Yes, ma'am.
Who do you live with?
My father now.
Did your mother throw you out?
No, I had to move.
Why?
Wasn't doing the right thing in Indiana.
Is that where your mother lives?
Yes, ma'am.
So your mother had enough of you moved to?
Cocoa Beach, Florida.
Who does your father live with?
Himself and me and my brother.
And what are you doing in Florida now?
About to go to school and just looking
So
for a
right
job
now you're doing nothing?
Yeah.
About to go to school, about to get a job, right now you're doing nothing?
Yeah, I just moved down there.
Now, Mr. Rundy, you are going to explain to me, sir, why this accident was not your fault. Or please pay careful attention, because in case I miss something, I really want somebody to give me a poke to be able to say, you missed it, you know, you missed the important part.
I'm here for you.
Thank you.
All right.
We're both all ears, Mr. Rundy.
I'm not trying to say that it's not my fault.
Well, that's what you said in the answer. You said, let me tell you what you said in the answer, Mr. Rundy.
Okay.
Which caused me to do this torturing routine that I did for the last 5 minutes.
Right.
Alicia, the other 18-year-old idiot who was drinking that night with 4 guys, she's the reason why I had to go to jail. That's what you wrote here.
I didn't know.
And had to take classes for first-time offenders. Did you have to take classes for
Yes,
first-time
I did.
offenders? I was surprised to learn that Mr. Kelly is suing me. Alicia should pay her grandfather for the money he is asking. Mr. Kelly is suing the wrong person. That's what you wrote. So now what you're telling me is that was all a big mistake?
No, it's not a big mistake. I feel she should have some responsibility in her car. I know what I did was wrong, and I know that, but...
She wasn't in the car.
She gave me the keys to her car, though.
Yeah.
So where's the responsibility come in at?
much do you weigh?
180.
You think that she could carry you, put you in the car, take your hand, put the key in the ignition,
I have
and
no
turn
idea.
it on? You don't think she could do that, do you?
No.
Only you could do that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're the one who poured your own alcohol.
Yes, ma'am.
You're the one who put the glass to your lips and guzzled it down.
Yes, ma'am.
You're the one that took you behind and put it behind the wheel of a car where you could have killed somebody.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're the one who's going to pay for Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kelly, were you able to have the car fixed?
Yes, I was.
And how much did it cost you, Mr. Kelly?
Over $5,000.
You have the bill for it?
Yes.
Can I see it, please? Mr. Kelly, your granddaughter, Alicia, I must tell you, I believe, did not act responsibly that evening. That doesn't mean that he's off the hook. That just means that if I were you, I wouldn't give her back the car.
I'm sorry.
Did you give her back the car?
Yes, after I got it fixed.
That was a big mistake. I wouldn't have given her back the car. She behaved irresponsibly. You understand that, don't you?
Yes.
Taking advantage of your grandfather. I wouldn't let you take advantage of me. I'll tell you that right now. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. Mr. Rundy, you better get busy and get back to Florida. Hurry up, hustle, get a job. Hustle, hustle, bustle.
All right.
That's all.
Riders are excused. You may step out.
Bridget Johnson claims ex-boyfriend Robert Jones owes for an assault and for funeral cost for their child. Robert claims the deceased child wasn't his.
Seat, please.
Miss Jones, according to the complaint that I've read, the defendant was your boyfriend. You became pregnant sometime in 2005.
Yes.
You broke up with the defendant and you were pregnant at the time.
Yes.
It is your claim that he assaulted you, and as a result of that assault, your baby was born prematurely and died. You want the defendant to pay for half of the baby's funeral expenses and damages for the assault.
Yes.
Mr. Jones says that you were the one who assaulted him, as a matter of fact, on the day that you broke up, that he never agreed to pay for the child's funeral expenses. As a matter of fact, he wasn't even positive that the child was his and told you that he had wanted a blood test before he assumed responsibility of the baby. That's your defense?
Yes, it is.
Okay. When did you become pregnant, Miss Johnson?
I found out I was pregnant July 22nd,
Of what year?
2005.
And were you living with Mr. Jones at the time?
Robert was staying with me along with his son because he was having arguments with his mother.
Did you move in with her in July or before that time?
I'll be staying over, you know.
You were staying over?
Yeah.
Okay. And when did you break up?
November 20th as a result of the assault. We were...
Just listen to me. Had he slept at the house the night before?
Yes.
And the night before that?
Yes.
So tell me what happened on November the 20th.
November the 20th, I received a phone call from Rob at about 3 o'clock in the morning.
Well, then he hadn't been at your house 3 o'clock in the morning.
No, he was at the bars. He would frequently go to the bars and then come over to my house afterwards. And he had called me at 3 o'clock in the morning stating that he was going to come over. I ran downstairs and unlocked the door like I would usually do, and he didn't come in. So after a while, I looked out my window and saw that the car was parked and the headlights were on and the car was still running. So I laid there for a couple more minutes and then got dressed. And when I walked outside, I saw that Rob was passed out in the driver's seat. So I crawled into the passenger seat and woke him up and asked him, you know, what he was doing and why he hadn't come in the house, and he told me that he didn't know. So we were trying to get the headlights of the vehicle to turn off. They wouldn't turn off. So I suggested that we just unplug the battery. I was 5 months pregnant. I didn't want to be fighting with him. I would much rather just go to bed. He wanted me to, you know, be with him that night, and he wanted to be around me. So I stated, you know, let's just unplug the battery. We couldn't figure out the lights. So he started to proceed to back out of my driveway. I told him that he was drunk, that I didn't want to go anywhere with him. And he wasn't listening to me, so I leaned over and smacked him in the face. I went like this to the front of his face. He then looked at me, told me to do that again, and I looked at him and said, "What did you mean?" And the next thing I knew, he punched me in my face.
So first you punched him and then he punched you?
Yeah, I didn't punch him.
No, just a second. So first you punched him.
Yes.
And then he punched you.
Yes.
Okay, now I got it.
But the only reason I hit him is because he wasn't listening to me and he wouldn't stop the vehicle.
I got you.
So then my
She
nose
wasn't listening to you.
Yes.
Why don't you just take the keys out of the ignition?
I didn't think of that.
Shouldn't have gotten in the car in the first place.
I shouldn't have told him to come over that evening.
That's also correct.
Knowing that he was drunk.
That is also correct.
Yes. I
Okay,
agree.
keep going.
I realized that my nose was bleeding very, very badly. So I opened the car door and I half jumped out of the car, and he like kind of gave me a little push along with it because he was laughing at the time. And I ran in the house and proceeded to call my mother first. And
So you weren't too far from where the house was?
No, I live on the second house at the corner of the block, and we were at the corner of the block.
Keep going.
I called my brother and he took me to the emergency room.
And what did they do for you there?
I first saw a police officer and they went to arrest Rob.
That doesn't answer my question. What did they do for you in the emergency room?
At the emergency room, they took x-rays of my face, and I was having a sharp pain that was shooting from my back to my stomach. So then I was told that I had to go up to the maternity floor for monitoring on the baby.
And that was in November?
Yes.
And when was the baby born?
The baby was born in February.
February what?
7th.
How much did she weigh?
She weighed 2 pounds, 2 ounces.
And when did she pass away?
The 11th.
Between November 20th and February 7th, did you see the defendant?
I saw him at the court dates.
Other than that?
No, because there was a court order for him to not be within 1,000 feet of me.
Now, when did you have this conversation with him with regard to paying for the baby's funeral expenses?
Okay, the first conversation I had with Robert was when he called me in late June after Father's Day. And I said, well, I kind of need money, you know, we should be paying for her gravestone, and I have funeral expenses that I couldn't get a grant from the state from everything. And he told me that he would get me $200 in August, and that him and his mother could save that together. I then called him on August 24th, and he told me he didn't have the money. So I said that I would pay the rest of it and that he could just pay me back. And he proceeded to say that that was fine. The next time I spoke to Robert was on September 17th when he called me and asked me if I wanted to go fishing with him with him. So I said, yeah, that I would go fishing because I wanted to speak to him about, the money.
Don't tell me why. You agreed to go fishing with him?
Yes. I knew
Is this
that.
the first time you had seen him other than the courthouse? Listen to me.
No.
Other than the court proceeding, is this the first time you saw him since November?
Other than court and then our daughter's birth, no.
Well, you didn't tell me about the daughter's birth.
My sister called him the morning that I was supposed to have a cesarean section. I was diagnosed with preeclampsia, which is high blood pressure, and then becomes toxic and it affects the baby's heart rate. And the first time I had high blood pressure was December 20th, and it proceeded to get worse throughout the pregnancy due to stress-related causes.
Don't tell me what it was due to, madam, unless you're a physician. Are you a physician?
No.
Good. Go ahead.
My sister called him the morning that I was supposed to have the cesarean section. He showed up shortly after our daughter was born, and I asked him if it would be okay with him to go up with her to the hospital up in the cities because we live in Mankato, and she was being airlifted to Minneapolis. He said that he would go and be with her because they didn't expect her to live past the night. The next day, I was released from the hospital, and the following morning, Robert came down from the cities and took us up to the cities where the hospital was because we weren't aware of where it was.
What do you mean he took you? How did he take you?
We followed him.
What do you mean you followed him?
My mother and sister and I followed him in a different vehicle. Him and his mother drove in their own vehicle. So when we got to the cities, he went to a basketball tournament and left us with my daughter so I could spend time with her. And then later on that evening, he came back to the hospital when I was at the hotel the following day.
I'm asking you when you spent time with him.
I didn't spend...
You didn't see him at the hospital?
No, he left as soon as he got us there. We got up to the room.
You didn't see him in the hospital is my question.
No, yes, I seen him at the hospital.
How many times did you see him in the hospital?
Just that first day.
So the baby died in February.
Yes.
Between February and September 17th when he called to go fishing, did you see him?
On occasion, out and about, at like local stores, yes.
Other than seeing him at local stores, did you have a cup of coffee with him? Did you have a sandwich with him? Did you go out to a movie with him?
No.
Is that true, sir?
It's true.
So what prompted you to call her up to go fishing on September 17th?
Actually, she called me, and I just had mentioned we were going fishing, and if she, if she wanted to come, it was a beautiful day out. So she said, sure. So went fishing, took her home, that was it.
Go ahead. So continue with your story, madam. Here we are.
We went fishing.
We are now September 17th fishing, and he hasn't given you any money.
And when we went fishing, Robert and I took his mother to Cub Foods so that she could get milk for the house before he dropped me off at my apartment, which is about 3 blocks away from Cub Foods, which is a local grocery store.
Just keep going,
Okay.
please. I don't need a map of the town.
Okay.
Keep moving.
So after we dropped his mother off at Cub Foods, it was him and I in the vehicle, and I brought up the money, and he told me that he had bills himself that he needed, and I proceeded to leave the vehicle. And then at the powwow, I saw him and brought up the money again, and that's actually
So you
why
weren't afraid of him?
No. Not when he's not drinking.
No, you weren't afraid of him.
No, I'm not scared of him unless...
Why in the world, some 2 years later, are you suing him now for assault?
I just think that he owes me the money. I was emotionally distraught from the loss of my daughter.
I want to know why you didn't sue him before you went fishing with him.
I didn't want to go through the court proceedings.
Well, what prompted you now to go through a court proceeding to sue him for a punch that happened 2 years ago?
The fact that he won't pay for our daughter's funeral expenses.
Did he ever tell you that he wasn't sure that the baby was his?
No, he never told me that. And if he didn't think that the baby was his, why would he go up to the cities and sit with her?
I don't know. I'm going to find out. Tell me what happened on November 20th, Mr. Jones.
Okay, I had broken up with her earlier that day because she was real emotional, and she was kind of abusive towards me. She would hit me in my chest or whatever. She did it like she knew because I wouldn't hit her, and she knew that I'm not a violent person. I never hit a female ever in my life, and I broke up with her earlier that day.
Well, tell me about breaking up with her earlier that day.
I was actually going to play ball with my friends, which I always did, and she kind of got emotional and started, kind of crying.
No,
she cried a lot.
Kind of if you remembered what she said, if you remember as closely to what happened, please, I would
Well, we weren't getting along before this either, so on that day, I told her that it was over.
Is that right, madam?
No.
Before he went out to the bar that night, because clearly you had to unlock the door because you would lock the door, so clearly he wasn't living with you at that moment. Did he discuss with you earlier in the day on November 20th that he was not happy with the relationship?
No, he had never once tried to or attempted to tell me that he was not happy in our relationship.
Okay, keep going.
Okay, and so I called her and told her that I was going to come get my things.
What time?
This was at about 2:30.
In the morning?
In the morning.
You crazy? Why would you call at 2:30 in the morning to say you were getting your things?
The bar was right by her place.
So you had been in the bar, Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I wasn't all like how she made it out to be.
I don't care whether you were all that. This is not an appropriate thing to do. To go 2:30 in the morning, to go while you're slightly inebriated, to get behind the wheel of a car and go anywhere, to settle anything.
Yep.
You're supposed to wait until the morning.
Okay, so I went and grabbed tried to grab my things. I told her that I just came to get my things and that it was over, and she kind of got mad because she didn't want to never break it off anyways. And prior to this, she had injured herself twice at work to get my attention. She would, I'm at the emergency room, come down. And she, according to her, was in a car accident that rolled or whatever. This is all her stories, and I never had proof of anything, so.
How many times did you go to the emergency room with her prior to November 20th?
Just the day this kid was born. But after she had gotten pregnant, she told me that just weeks after I found out, she said that we got into an argument. She said she's early enough in her pregnancy where she can say somebody else is the father. And I said, well, how do I know that's not what you're doing to me? And I tried going to her first doctor's appointment, and she left me sitting out in the lobby.
Okay, got it. Did you ever tell her that you and your mother could save up $200 until August?
Yes, I did.
And that you would give her $200?
Yeah, I said that basically so she would just,
I don't care why you said it.
Yeah.
Did you tell her that?
Yes, I did.
Now, let's get back to November 20th. You said you were coming to pick up your things 2:30 in the morning.
Yep.
2:30 in the morning you got there, and?
She opened the door and she didn't want me in. And I wasn't going to barge in because that's not how I am.
Fine, so?
So she basically hit me in my eye because I told her I wanted my things and it was over. And she hit me in my eye, closed the door, looked out the window, and I said, that's fine. That's the last time you'll ever hit me. And I walked all, her sister actually dropped him off at my work.
Is what you're telling me that she never got into your car?
She never did.
All right, I'd like to see the police report, please.
Yes. And I have pictures.
I'd like to see the police report, please.
If I could say something too, there was never even a police or even there.
Sir, you pled guilty to fifth-degree assault, according to the plaintiff.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so. All right, so you told the police that he doesn't live with you. That's what you told the police.
I told the police that he was staying at his mother's house.
You told the police that you do not live together and that he stays on and off, but he lives with his mother. Who are you?
Robert Armando's mother.
Stand up, please. Your last name is?
Jones.
Miss Jones, you told the police when they came to your house on November the 20th to go downstairs and get your son. Is that right?
Right.
You told him to go downstairs and get your son because he came home drunk.
Right.
And he was passed out on the couch.
Right.
Right. And you, sir, when you were questioned by the police, you were so drunk that you denied even being over at your girlfriend's house.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You know, Mr. Jones, there is absolutely no indication here, nor, I assume, do you have any medical testimony that would indicate a correlation between your baby's death 2 months after you got this black eye, because that's what it was, and the baby's illness.
No.
No. So what you're suing him for is for the simple assault of giving you a black eye and the $200 he promised you for the baby's headstone. He's not responsible with regard to any of the other baby's expenses because there is no indication that this is in fact his child. In order to do that, you either have to be married, which you are not, or you have to have a blood test, which would establish that he's the father. Then he would be responsible for half of any unrecovered expenses for the child. Since you don't have that, the only thing that you have to sue him on is his agreement that he would pay you $200 towards the child's headstone, which was really gratuitous, but he promised he would. You relied on that. That you have to pay, sir. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Since there is no correlation between the injury to your eye and what subsequently happened to the baby, I have to examine the circumstances surrounding what happened on that day. There's no question in my mind that he was drunk, that he has no recollection of what happened that day, that he's making it up as he's going along, because he even denied to the police that he was there that day. Even your mother was disgusted with you, sir. Is that a fair statement, Miss Jones?
Right.
Okay. Now, you pled guilty to assaulting her, sir.
Yes, I did.
And you received probation?
Nope, I just got a $500 fine.
No, he was placed on probation for 1 year.
Sir, you better start remembering things that happened to you.
I never was. I was supposed to get a probation officer. I never did.
I don't care whether you were supposed to, whether they never followed through and gave you a probation officer. Maybe you forgot. But if you were supposed to get a probation officer, it wasn't because they were giving you a probation officer for your birthday. They were giving you a probation officer because you were on
probation.
You have to learn, Mr. Jones, that there are consequences. However, Ms. Johnson, you don't get any awards for being the brightest bulb in the pack. When you're 5 months pregnant and your boyfriend calls 3 o'clock in the morning and says, I'm at a bar and I'm coming over, you lock your door and you keep it closed. You don't go outside to try to figure out how to get the lights off and disconnect his battery.
Yeah.
And you don't punch him in the face. But he started the problem by coming over there in the first place, which was really very stupid. And that, Mr. Jones, is going to cost you $500. So I'm issuing a judgment in the amount of $700, $200 for the baby's headstone and $500 for this 2-year-old assault. Thank you very much. That's all.
Natalie Holtz claims ex-fiancé Thomas Parrish owes for breaking their lease and for harassing her over the phone. Thomas claims he moved out because of Natalie's constant nagging.
Ms. Holtz, it is your claim that Mr. Parrish, who was a boyfriend of yours for a period of time, owes you some money for rent and also for harassing you. Mr. Parrish says that you're actually the one who's bothering him, that he contributed to the rent while he was living at the apartment with you and your children. But when he moved out of the apartment after a disagreement, he stopped paying rent. He's not on the lease. He feels no obligation to pay rent when he's not living there. Okay. When did you move into the apartment with Mr. Parrish?
After we got engaged. We got engaged December of '05.
Did he give you a ring?
Yes, he did. I have it with me.
Okay.
And I even went with my mom and bought a wedding dress, and I bought my daughter's dresses. We were going to have a ceremony on the beach. And
when did you move in together?
Mid-February of '06. And he went with me to the leasing office. When we went to fill out the forms for the application fee, which was $150, and to transfer within the same complex to a 2-bedroom, that was $500.
So you had a 1-bedroom apartment with your 2 children?
Correct.
Where were you living, sir?
I was renting a house in Chesapeake.
With his mother.
About 35 minutes from where she was living.
Okay, so you weren't living together in the one-bedroom apartment?
No.
No.
I'm looking at him.
Sorry.
You moved into the two-bedroom apartment in February of 2006, and the lease was in your name only.
Correct, but we had discussed, we had an agreement that we would rent the two-bedroom together for 1 year to save up money to buy a house for after we got married.
Good.
And he paid half the rent for 10 months.
Right, I got you, while he lived there.
Right, correct.
And he paid the rent faithfully, half of the rent, despite the fact that he's only one person out of 4 living in the apartment, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, but they were minors.
I don't care if they're minors or not. He's one person out of 4.
Correct.
Living in the apartment. You get child support for your 2 children?
I get for one child because he has them half of the month and I have them half the month.
So you get child support for one child?
Correct.
How much?
$400 a month.
Okay. And he paid half of the other expenses on the apartment for the 10 months that he was living there?
Yes, he did. He paid half the utilities.
Half of everything?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, what happened when he moved out?
He didn't give me any notice. He just...
So you must have had a disagreement.
We got into a fight.
About what?
I had asked him to do the dishes, and he was watching TV.
Just you could have get a turn.
And I waited about 2 hours. He still hadn't done it, so I went ahead and did it. And I got upset with him. I said, thanks a lot for helping me out around the house. You know, you eat on the dishes too. And he said, well, I was going to do it. I didn't know there was a time limit. And he started yelling at me. My youngest daughter was home. He was yelling in front of her. So I'm like, well, I don't want you yelling around her. He said, well, then I won't. And he went and, where are you going? He's like, I'm moving out. He gave me no notice. I said, what do you mean? Are you going to a hotel room? And he's like, no, I'm moving out. I'm not coming back.
Ms. Holtz, there must have been some clue to you prior to that things weren't going well.
We had had a few disagreements, yes, about...
So things were not going well?
Correct.
Well, you don't want your children to be involved with that sort of hostile environment, do you?
No, but he had only yelled one other time in a year and a half. And
well,
it wasn't
fine. That's fine.
Day occurrence.
That's fine. You don't want it to get any worse, do you? You don't want your children in an environment that's not healthy.
No, that's why.
So that it would be a so that it would be a good idea that he left.
Yes.
I would agree with that.
But I felt he was obligated for the last 2 months of the rent.
Where are you living now?
I just moved to a smaller apartment that I could afford on my own.
Just a second. How much rent was this apartment that you moved into together?
$1,203 a month.
And how much was the rent in the apartment that you had been living in?
It was $988. The one bedroom, and my new rent is $895.
So the difference in rent was $200 a month between the one bedroom and the two bedroom.
Right, but if we wouldn't have gotten engaged, I wouldn't have gotten that apartment. I would have gotten something I could afford on my own.
Listen
Your
to
Honor.
Me. I look at objective things. Objectively, you were paying $1,000 on one, and this is $1,200.
And I knew I couldn't afford it if I didn't have a roommate, or if we hadn't gotten engaged. I would have gotten a smaller apartment on my own.
Good.
And I also have bank checks for the transfer fee and the application fee, which he agreed to pay half of. And I also have harassment. I want like $1,000 for phone harassment. I have records, phone records of him calling.
You mean after, just a second, Ms. Holt, do you mean to tell me after he moved out, because he said he wanted it over?
Correct.
He started calling you? You didn't call him?
No.
Just a second. Just listen to me. You just listen to me. You didn't call him?
No, Your Honor.
He called you?
Yes, and I have tape recording of it, calling me terrible names.
You never called me.
Just a second. Mr. Parrish.
Yes, ma'am.
When you left, sir, it is your claim that Miss Holtz called you.
Yes, ma'am.
What did she say when she called you?
She called me a lot of adjectives that I won't use here, and I left. The reason I left was more than just the dishes.
Go ahead, sir.
To back up and give you some background of just that day, I won't be long-winded. It was a Sunday morning. I had some work to do. I was going to do it early in the morning. Instead, I put that work off until the afternoon. While she laid in bed, I did the dishes, fed the kids, cleaned the kitchen, did 2 loads of laundry, put all that away, spruced the house up while she's still in bed, asked her if there's anything else I can do before I went and did my work. No, everything's fine. I went away and worked it took me about 3.5, 4 hours. I came back.
What kind of work did you do?
I'm a small contractor.
Go ahead.
It took about 3.5, 4 hours. I came back. The NFL football playoffs were on. I watched the second half of the first game. The next game was the Dallas game, which I'm a huge fan. She knows that. I sat down to watch that. In the meantime, she had gone in the kitchen and started going off about everything. I had left a Walmart receipt on the counter from where I bought some groceries the day before, which I bought my share and then some of the groceries groceries for all 4 of us. She started griping about the receipt on the table. You know, why'd you leave this receipt here? You want money from me? I said, did I ever ask you for money? Is this why you left the receipt? She on and on and on. This goes on for over an hour.
It's not true, Your Honor.
Shh, don't interrupt him.
After the conclusion of that, she goes and stands in front of the television, or not directly in front of it, but right beside it, hand on her hip, and says, you've watched one football game, now I expect you're going to sit here and watch another one? And I looked at her and I said, yeah, I'm going to watch another one. You know I'm a Dallas fan, I'm going to watch the game. And she said something, and that was it. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. I got up, I had some shirts and some clothes in the apartment. She goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm leaving. I've had enough.
Your Honor, he never works on Sundays. He hates working on Sundays. He did not go to work
Your
that
Honor,
day.
I'm a...
What difference does it make whether he went
Because
to
he's
work or not?
lying. It's showing that he lies.
I
He's
did go to
lying.
work.
Ms. Holtz, if something doesn't make sense, it's usually not true. And what doesn't make sense to me is I listened to him only for a couple of minutes, and I've made a judgment, because I'm usually good at making judgments, that he's not a nut.
Thank you.
I don't.
You haven't heard this.
Oh, I don't think he's a nut. I think maybe he was stretched to the limit, but I don't think he's a nut. And I think when he left, he probably would have left you alone. But you started bugging him because you were angry, just as you are angry right now. You are so angry right now, you can't even contain yourself.
I'm just nervous, Your Honor.
You're angry. You're still angry.
I'm angry at what he called me, yes. He called me very vulgar and obscene things, and I don't deserve that.
I'm going to ask you again to answer my question and answer it honestly. After he left that day, who called who first?
He called me.
First?
Yes, he called me 27 times.
Just a second. So what did he say, Miss Holtz, when he called you after he left?
He said that I only think about myself, that I'm a self-centered, and I can't repeat what he called me. And yes, I did call him once. I asked him for my key back.
Just a second. My question was, who called who first?
He called me first. I have the phone records.
You have a phone record that shows all your outgoing calls?
Yes, I do, but his
Great.
is first.
Great. Let me take a look at what you have. Put a mark next to where you called him.
I'll put a star where I called him. All the other check marks are him calling me.
Just go back to the beginning.
The beginning is where he left on the 6th.
What's your phone number, sir?
286.
At your mother's house?
That's my cell phone. That's the only.
At your cell phone?
That's the only phone I use, yes, ma'am.
Well, on the 6th, madam, 286 is outgoing.
It says incoming.
Outgoing, outgoing, outgoing. Then you have a couple of incoming. But on the 6th, I want you to point to where I've checked this off, please, and let her look at it.
All the highlighted ones. Okay.
I'm not talking highlighted. Look at where I made the check marks.
That was in the afternoon. He was still home, or he was still. He hadn't moved out yet. That was in the afternoon.
Why would she call me?
The next day.
Just a
It's the
second.
next day when he started harassing me.
Listen to me. What? Okay, give it back to me.
Incoming, 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 incoming. These are all incoming.
Miss Holtz, you don't want me to think you're a nut, do you?
No, ma'am.
On the 6th, according to you.
That night.
I'm speaking. You called him at a time when you said he wasn't out working, because you said he doesn't work on Sundays. So clearly, you called him at that cell phone number, 216, 252, and 252.
Yes, he went to the grocery store.
So what'd you call him 3 times for?
He called me, and I called him back on several occasions.
So he went to the grocery store for whom?
For all of us. We all had to eat.
So he was out on family business?
Yes, before we got in a fight. Yes, ma'am, he was.
After I finished working.
Just a second. Okay. Then the next phone call on the 7th of January was a phone call from you to him at 8:09 p.m. and he called you back at 8:29. You called him first. Then you called him at 9:10 p.m., 6:59 a.m., 7:30 a.m.
He wouldn't return my call to get my key back, Your Honor.
Please.
And I have the text messages right here of all the incoming text messages.
Okay, Miss Holtz, I'm
going
to listen to me, madam. You got to get over it. Get over it.
It's okay to call somebody the B word and the C word?
Get over it. Sticks and stones break your bones. Names will never hurt you. Did your mother ever teach you that? You have to get over it. It's finished. You may be angry. You may be angry that you devoted 10 months of your time to him. He may not have said nice things to you. I mean, you can tell.
I've had 24 calls since the 9th on here.
Listen to me. Listen to me. I'm looking at your phone records.
I don't have them.
You called him first.
to get my key back and my mailbox key back.
Change the lock. What? Go ahead.
I just want to clear up a couple of things. You've done a nice job of clearing up the harassment. First of all, I don't understand her suing me for ever how much she's suing me for, $1,200, $1,300, whatever it is. I could understand if she was going to sue me for bigamy. I could understand that, because in that pretty little head there's about 12 personalities.
Mr. Parrish.
This is what I get on messages.
Mr. Parrish, listen to me. Not necessary, sir.
Okay, I just letting you know.
Let him show his true colors.
Not necessary.
Okay.
She may be stressed. She's a single mother.
She's a good mother.
She's a single mother. Takes care of kids. Money, I'm sure, is tight. I'm sure it was much more comfortable when you were there.
I understand.
Much less stressful financially when you were there. You're not there anymore. A life she anticipated is over. But I don't think that you're responsible for any rent when you weren't living there. I think that you took care of more than your fair share of the bills when you lived there in a family that was really not yours. You left. The responsibility is hers. She was angry. And these phone records do not support harassment on your part, sir. I mean, common sense dictates that if you left, you would have been just as happy to be left alone. Period. But very hard when you are stressed to deal with that kind of change. I get it. But you're not entitled to any money, madam. The case is dismissed. That's
Your
all.
Honor.
That's all.
Juliet Basasio is suing her ex-boyfriend, Omar Pierce, for unpaid rent and a security deposit. Omar says Juliet is angry that he went back to his wife.
Ms. Basasio, this very unhappy gentleman who's standing next to you, Mr. Pierce, used to be your boyfriend,
Yes.
even though he was married. And you have a child together.
Yes.
Mistake number 2. And it is your claim that the two of you leased an apartment for 6 months because you claim Mr. Pierce wanted to move out of your parents' home where the two of you were living with your baby and have a place of your own. You signed the 6 months lease. He didn't really hold up his end of the rent, which you had agreed to, and then he moved out, leaving you stuck with the lease. Mr. Pierce says that you couldn't rip him from the heart of his wife and 2 sons, and that he decided to go home, and that he paid rent while he lived there, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Did I explain your position, sir?
No, I don't owe any of the money.
What?
I don't owe any money.
Oh, this is going to be harder than I thought. When did he live in your parents' house?
The first time he moved in was in May.
Of 2006?
Yes.
How old is your baby?
He's 2.5. He'll be 3 in October.
Is that your only child?
Yes.
Why would you have a baby with somebody who's married?
Because he lied and told me he wasn't married. He told me he had just separated and he was divorced from his wife 6 months prior to when I met him.
He said he was separated or divorced?
The same difference. He said...
No, it's not the same difference. Separated is not divorced.
At first, he didn't have a wife. I would have never went with him if he told me that he was married.
And when did he finally tell you he was married?
He never did. He never told me that he was married. I had to find out from his wife that he was married. And it was after I had my son.
Was he living with you?
No, he wasn't.
Why wasn't he living with you?
I don't know.
Did you ask him why we're not living together?
No.
Did you ask him why we're not married?
No, he knows that I wouldn't want to marry him. I told him, I don't want to get married. Why do I need to get married? If I live with somebody, why would I need to get married?
Well, why if you're fighting with somebody? You're right, you shouldn't marry somebody you're fighting with, right? You also shouldn't make a baby with them.
That was before I found out that he was married.
What difference does it make if he's married or not? If you don't want to get married and you're not getting along with him.
We were not fighting before that. Everything was fine before that. There was no fighting or nothing.
You mean everything was fine until you got pregnant?
Yes. Well, he was okay up until the month I had my baby.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a receiving clerk.
Where?
I don't want to say.
In what city?
In San Marcos.
How long have you been a shipping clerk for the company that you work for now?
Close to a year.
And before that, where did you work?
Oh, I didn't work.
Huh?
I didn't work. Oh, I did work, but in numerous places.
What kind of work does the plaintiff do?
I work in the emergency room.
What kind of work does the plaintiff do?
She works in a hospital, I guess.
What do you mean you guess?
Why I see her go there. I mean, yeah, she works in a hospital. Excuse me, I don't want to be...
Yeah, don't be a smart aleck, sir. You know, you're having trouble just keeping your head above water here. And what prompted you to decide to get an apartment with him? Because now you're living with your parents and your son, right? Everything is nice. The baby has some stability, live at home, so he's got grandparents, nice. Now you know he's married. And he says, let's get an apartment together.
He's the father of my child. I'm going to give him a chance. If I'm going to want him in my son's life, I'm going to give him that chance. He told me that he was in the process already of divorcing his wife. 2 weeks before we signed our lease, before we were going to move in together, he told me that his divorce was going to be final. That obviously
So you
was
signed the
not true.
lease. Can I see the lease, please?
Yes, you may.
November of 2006 is when you started. When did he move out?
In January of 2007.
So he lived there with you for 2 months, right?
Yes.
Excuse.
What?
We moved in October, and I gave her rent for October.
It says that the rent is due the first date of each month beginning November 2nd.
Thank you. It's November.
Your lease started November 2nd,
Yes.
2006. Why did you move out?
I went back with my wife and kids. Went home.
You went back with your wife and kids. Well, what'd you expect her to do with this apartment?
Well, she told me before we even moved into the place that I can go back to my family, go back to break the lease and go back to my family.
Just a second. She what? Say it again to me,
She told
so
me-
I believe it.
She told me that I can, if it didn't work, I could break the lease.
And go back to your wife.
Yes.
Those words never came out of a woman's mouth.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Not her mouth.
Thank you. Especially
Not
with
just
somebody with a kid.
Just a second. Don't. Look at me. Those words not only didn't come out of her mouth, they didn't come out of any woman's mouth in history. If it doesn't work out between us, you can break the lease and go back to your wife.
Yeah, because she knew how I felt about my wife and her.
What, are you crazy? Why did you sign this lease, Mr. Pierce?
Because I wanted to be free. I thought it was going to work out between me and her.
Because what?
I wanted to be free. I wanted, because we would have fun. I thought it would be, work out between me and Juliet.
So you wanted to have fun. You couldn't have fun in her parents' house.
We agreed to move out so we could be together.
You wanted to be free.
Yeah, well,
You wanted
for
to
many-
be able to drink and smoke and do what you wanted to do and have a good time. You couldn't do that at her parents' house. And her parents probably looked at you like I'm looking at you and saying, why? I raised this nice girl and she brings me home a bum. Why? What happened? Mr. Pierce, you have a responsibility to pay her for the remainder of the lease, your half. Do you want me to explain why to you, sir?
No.
No?
Well, because I don't owe her any money. When I stayed there, she said that it was okay, because she knew I had to support my other kids.
You know, when I was a kid, my grandmother used to tell me that, God one day God gave you a heart, one day a soul, one day you got a brain, one day you got... He was absent. He was absent. You picked the wrong day to be absent, Mr. Pierce. Listen to what I'm saying to you, sir. You have 3 children. You made 3 children. You can't afford to have 3 children. You probably can't even afford to take care of yourself. So you have to find some other hobby other than having children. That's number 1. Number 2, sir, look over here. You signed a lease. That has meaning. Whether you pay taxes or not is not my issue. Signing this contract is my issue. Do you understand, sir?
Yes.
Signing this contract obligated her to pay this rent. Now, if they can't come after you because they can't find you, that is a problem. Do we understand each other, Mr. Pierce?
Yes, ma'am.
You understand me loud and clear now, Mr. Pierce?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. I'm glad now we understand each other, sir. So when you sign a lease for 6 months with the mother of your child and take her out of a home where she's living relatively comfortably, rent-free, and then you get an epiphany and want to be near your other baby's mother, that doesn't mean you are absolved from paying her for the rent. Do you understand, sir? If Uncle Sam can't find you, I can. Do we understand each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. The rent is $825. According to your complaint, he was supposed to pay $400. $400 times 4 equals $1,600. That's for the 4 months remaining on the lease after you moved out, sir. Do you understand?
Yes.
Goodbye. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
56-year-old Candace Harris is suing her ex-boyfriend, 32-year-old Frank Boswell, for an unpaid loan and for trading in a Camaro that didn't belong to him. Candace claims Frank is a scammer.
Miss Harris, you met the defendant online. Is that how you met him?
Correct, Your Honor.
And according to what I read, you began a relationship with him, and at some point, according to you, you let him borrow a car that you had that you weren't using.
Correct.
And he had the car for many months. The relationship soured. You went to get the car and found out that Mr. Boswell had forged your name to the title of the car and either sold or traded it in for something else.
That's correct.
You also claim that you loaned him some money before this in 2005, and I'm telling you right now, Ms. Harris, I'm not entertaining that. Because according to what you said in your complaint, you sent him this money with the understanding that when he got back on his feet, he would pay you back.
Correct.
That's what you said. Mr. Boswell is going to tell me he never got back on his feet. That's not a loan. It has to be objective, not subjective. Mr. Boswell will tell some people he's on his feet and tell other people that he's not on his feet. You have children, sir?
Yes, I do.
How many?
One.
That child live with you?
No.
You pay child support?
Yes.
As much as the mother of that child wants?
No.
Right. Because you're not really on your feet. See what I mean? Things are very predictable in this life. I could have written this script before I even asked him a question. Now, when did you let Mr. Boswell borrow your car?
He came to see me on September 29th in 2005. It was at my house for many months being unused.
So you let Mr. Boswell borrow it. What was the arrangement?
The arrangement was that he would use my car. He was trying to get his career started in music, rap business, and it would be a nice car for him to drive with a little bit more prestige maybe than what the vans he had. And we never discussed when I would get it back. However, in March...
After he got on his feet.
Yes. In March, I discovered there was other women involved in his life besides me who were also helping him out financially till he got on his feet.
I could have also told you that.
Yes, ma'am. And it escalated to the point where more and more women started showing up. On June 20th was when he sold the car. I have the documents here that show
Now,
it was...
Mr. Boswell, how much did you sell the car for, sir?
I actually didn't sell the car. I traded the car.
How much did they give you for it?
They just traded me another car straight across.
Really?
Yeah,
But you forged her name to the title.
I did that.
You can't do that, Mr. Boswell.
Why would someone give me a car and give me the title if they loaned it to me?
Who paid for the insurance?
She did.
And whose name was the insurance in?
Isn't it hers?
You got my message? It's her car. If she meant to pass title to you, she would have signed the title over to you, and then you would have insured the car in your name.
Then why did she give me the title in the
Are
first
you
place?
asking me a question, smarty pants?
Yes,
Don't you
I am.
ask me a question, sir. I ask the questions, you give the answers. I want to tell you, you may find a lot of women that find you attractive. I am not one of them.
No. I can dig that.
I'm glad you can. What kind of car do you have now?
1990 Lexus LS400.
How many miles did it have on it when you took
276.
it? 276
Yes.
miles? Is that your car?
No,
ma'am.
her car.
My car
her car
was
was
a
a Camaro.
It had 126,000 miles. It was a 95 Camaro.
When I traded it, it had 143,000 miles on it.
What's the blue book value of your car, madam?
It is, Your Honor. It's $4,025.
Is that in good, fair?
That's the medium. It's in the good condition.
Okay. Now, Miss Harris, you seem like an intelligent lady.
I would hope so.
You know the old saying, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck? Did you ever hear that expression?
Yes, ma'am.
If it walks like a deadbeat and looks like a deadbeat, it's a deadbeat. You're supposed to know the difference at your stage in life.
Correct.
Do you understand? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,000. That's all.
Pondo, step forward, please.
Nadine Munoz is suing her former fiancé, Andy Villapando, for the money she put toward her engagement ring because he cheated on her. Andy says since Nadine bought her own ring, he's not responsible.
Order. All rise.
Your Honor, this is case number 288 on the calendar in the matter of Munoz versus Villa Pondo. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
Well, this is a new twist on an engagement ring case. Miss Munoz, according to your complaint, you went shopping with this gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
You were becoming engaged, is that right?
Yes. Yes.
According to you, you picked out a ring that you liked.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have any money or any credit.
None whatsoever.
So you put your ring on your credit card.
Exactly.
First mistake.
Exactly. Exactly.
In addition to that, you say he charged some tires on a credit card, 4 tires on a credit card of yours without your permission. To make a long story short, you're here, so that means you're no longer engaged.
Exactly. We are no longer engaged. We're no longer in speaking terms whatsoever.
And so tell me what you want from him.
I want him to pay half of the engagement ring that he gave me, that we both went together to go get. I have the appraisal. I also have the appraisal on the ring.
I'm not interested in the appraisal.
Okay.
I'm interested in the bill of sale.
Okay.
Where is it?
I have the bill of sale.
Can I have it, please? Okay. 2627.94. Now, how long did this love affair last after the ring was bought?
Not long.
How long?
Till May 31st.
Well, when was the ring purchased?
February 23rd.
So.
But I had no. I'm sorry, Your Honor, but I didn't walk out of the relationship. He did. He walked out.
I assume you weren't getting along?
It wasn't going anywhere, and so, but I tried to work it out. He didn't want to, so therefore he walked out.
Well, that's probably a good idea, right?
Yes, but he left me with the bill, and I thought that because of his promise that he made that he was going to pay for part of the ring, I expected that in return.
Now I'm going to ask you this question. Why didn't you take the ring back to the jeweler?
I did. They would not give me my money back. They asked for credit, and I said, okay, fine. I then called Mr. Villalpando and asked him, look, I don't want you to be without anything, and I don't want to be without anything. Therefore, you get $1,500 worth of the ring, and I'll get $1,500 worth. And I did call him on that, because I no longer want the ring. I told Mr. Villalpando
So why didn't you sell it?
I tried. You know how hard it is to sell a ring? I've tried for the months that went by. I've tried to sell that ring, and I can't.
Okay. Now, sir, you acknowledge, let's get rid of the tire question.
Okay.
Okay? Because I don't think that you deny that you signed her name and that you bought the tires, correct?
On the credit card for the tires, correct.
All right. And the tires were $330?
Correct.
Did you pay her back?
I've paid her $315, so I owe her $15.
No,
Let me see.
My first payment was made cash, and I got 2 check duplicates. If you need to subpoena my bank records.
I don't subpoena anything, sir.
Okay.
I'm not your lawyer. I'm the judge.
Your Honor, on those checks that he gave me, that was part of the rent and the electric bills that he left me stuck with because he did not pay for anything. Everything is under my name in that apartment because Mr. Villalpando, again, has no credit whatsoever. He claimed bankruptcy in the beginning of January.
Did you leave her with any bills when you left?
No, ma'am. I used to bring my checks, and she's the one that took care of the finances.
That's not true. That's not true. We did both of our finances together. We did both of them together. He couldn't write the check on the apartment because of the fact that it was not leased under his name.
Okay. Now, sir, do you have any payments that you made to her in June of '97?
The only payments I made to her, ma'am, are those 2 and the one cash payment I made before those 2.
All right, so now I understand this. Would you give this back?
Sure.
Tires. You owe her $330. Now, let's get to the ring. Tell me about the ring, because your story was an interesting one, sir.
Well, on the ring, we had an agreement, yes, that she was going to allow me to charge a ring so I can get her because of my credit pass from a divorce that pretty much ruined my credit. Anyways, I went out and I found a ring that I wanted to get her, and I took her to the store, and she pretty much made me feel about this little because the ring wasn't nice enough, big enough, and gaudy enough, and she specifically told me it had to be bigger than my ex-wife's. And I believe the ring was almost 2 carats as it was, and my ex-wife was only like 1 carat.
Your Honor.
So,
shh. Sir, listen to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Very nice ring. It's not 2 carats.
Correct.
This is not 2 carats.
Correct.
Okay. So, go ahead. So you took her to the store, and you found a ring that you liked.
I found a ring. As a matter of fact, they were even having a big sale, so it was like a real good deal, everything. And she did not want it. It wasn't what she wanted and stuff like that. And to me, I felt like, you know, I'm buying it as a gift. You should appreciate what I'm getting you. And that's
so what happened? So you're at the store, and she doesn't like the ring.
She didn't like it, and so we didn't get a ring that day. And she decided she wanted to get a ring that she would like.
But you went with her again to find a ring that she liked.
Correct.
Okay.
And when she finally discovered the ring that she wanted, she asked me what I thought of it, and I told her it's up to her. And that's where it went, and she bought it and signed for it.
But you also promised that you were going to pay for half of it, or actually pay for the gift because it was a gift coming from you, considering the fact that you wanted to get engaged, Andy. You did.
My agreement, I'm sorry.
Your agreement was what?
My agreement was that I was going to pay for the ring that I was going to get her, not something that she didn't approve or like and wanted.
No, that doesn't make sense, my friend. That doesn't make sense, my friend. Now it makes sense to you. Now it's a good story. Now I can understand that you went and found a ring, a little too small, not exactly what you wanted. She said she'd like something else. You went shopping with her again because I assume at that point you were still in love and you were planning on getting married, and at that point I assume you wanted her to be happy with the ring. That's why you went with her again. Doesn't look like anybody drags you any place where you don't want to go. And I assume that if the relationship had progressed and you married, that you would have made payments on this engagement ring that you gave her.
It probably would have came out of a joint checking account, yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I can't pay a $3,000 ring on my income, and I know he probably couldn't do it either, but it was something that he promised to pay, and it was a gift from him.
And later today,
I lost my best friend. I stole 2 rings from her, knowing what I was doing, and I took him to a drug dealer to pay off the debt.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 27-year-old Nadine Munoz claims her former fiancé, 27-year-old Andy Villapando, cheated on her. So she's suing to recover the money she put toward her own engagement ring.
So what you have is a very interesting scenario, Miss Munoz. The ring should go back to him because it is an engagement ring.
Okay, I don't mind him having the ring as long as he pays the account.
Now, when you made this deal with him, was he supposed to pay for the whole ring?
He was supposed to, he made a verbal promise that he was going to pay for the whole ring. But when I brought him to court, I was being very noble by paying half.
Okay. Well, this was an engagement ring. Women don't pay for their own engagement rings unless they're crazy. She doesn't sound to me like she's crazy. And my sense is that at least at the time that she purchased this ring on her credit, it was something that you intended to pay for because it was an engagement ring. That's what happens. A man buys a woman an engagement ring. The fact that she didn't like the first ring, sir, that's not an excuse. That's just a good story that you made up, that you were willing to pay for the first one but not the second one, because that's pretty much what you're telling me. And if you weren't willing to pay for the second one, then you wouldn't have and shouldn't have gone shopping with her for a second one. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, this whole ring was $2,627.94. And, sir, I don't think you paid it for the tires at all. So, Mr. Munoz, you just bought yourself a beautiful engagement ring and 4 new tires for the total price of $2,957.94. Judgment for the plaintiff in that amount. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out. I'll be back to you right.
I wanted friendship afterwards, and I stated it strongly with him that I wanted friendship, but I didn't want to be lied to like he lied to me.
I'm sorry this all happened.
No problem.
And now the next case.
Parties on Golda versus Greer. Step forward, please.
37-year-old Laura Golder is suing her best friend of 15 years, 31-year-old Liza Greer, claiming she stole 2 rings to pay off a drug dealer.
Ms. Greer, I'm going to start with you. Because, quite frankly, I don't think that the facts in this case are really in dispute. You two ladies were friends for a very long time.
15 years.
And, Ms. Greer, you acknowledge that there was a period of time when you had a severe drug problem, correct?
Yes, and alcohol.
And you were indebted to a drug dealer for some money.
Correct.
How much money did you owe him?
Well, at the time I owed him about $375, give or take a few.
And you were pretty strung out.
Yes.
She was your dear friend.
Yes.
So you stole 2 rings from her.
Yes, I did.
And you gave one of the rings to the dealer.
Actually, I gave both of the rings to the dealer for collateral, and I was hoping to get him money because he was threatening my life, and he was a very dangerous man, and I was very frightened. And I was sober at the time, but that evening I relapsed from the stress, and I drank. And when I went over to my girlfriend's house where she was, we were together and consoling me, that evening I did something completely out of the ordinary, something I'm very upset about, I'm very remorseful for. I lost my best friend. I stole 2 rings from her, knowing what I was doing, and I took them to a drug dealer to pay off the debt. And when I tried to get them back, he wouldn't give them to me. And the next day I turned myself into the police, and I told them what happened and what I did.
When did you find the rings missing?
The morning that she left my apartment.
How'd you feel?
Extremely upset.
Did you try to contact her?
I contacted her mother and her sister and told them what happened, and they said call the police.
You got one of the rings back?
Yes.
The other one you did not?
Yes, correct.
What did he do, sell it or dispose of it in some way?
We don't know. He's saying he's innocent, and, we can't talk to him. I can't get the rings back, but I want to pay her back. I just said I don't have a lot.
How did you get the one ring back?
That's kind of on her part, and I'm not talking to her right now, so you need to ask.
The police have it as evidence.
But they're holding it, so that one you have. The only dispute in this case is to the value of the ring. How much did you pay for the ring?
$7,000. I have the receipts and all the appraisal and everything right here.
I'm not interested in the appraisal, just the receipt, how much you paid for it. You bought this ring at a very upscale store. And there were 2 pieces of fine jewelry that you bought. One was for $7,000, one is for $2,500. What were the 2 pieces that you bought?
The $7,000 was the ring, and the $2,500 was the earrings to go with it.
And you have the earrings?
Yes.
Just a lot of money to spend on a ring, but...
Did you notice it was a charge card? I like to live over my means. I like to have what I like.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It was either taking your jewelry or going out and mugging somebody or getting killed herself. Because, drug dealers can be, not can be, are despicable pun scum.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Liza Greer admits to stealing 2 rings, but says they are worth thousands less than Laura Golder claims.
Miss Greer, I'm going to let you tell me in your own words what your defense is to this lawsuit.
Okay. Okay, I'm not saying that I don't owe her the money because I took the rings. I'm taking responsibility for it. I've done everything I can and my possible means of helping her get the ring back and going to court, turning myself in. I just feel that the designer for the ring is what I'd be paying for and not the value of the diamonds and the gold. I just feel it would be, it's just ridiculous to pay for a designer. It's not ridiculous, but it's just, $7,000 for a designer when the actual ring is only worth $3,000.
That's what I paid for the ring, though.
Shh. Let me tell you this. What you're suggesting is as follows. If somebody steals a Renoir, you know what that is?
Yes.
And says, well, I'm prepared to pay for the canvas and for the paint that was used, but I'm not prepared to pay $5 million for this painting. Because after all this painting is a canvas and some paint. I don't have to pay for the designer Renoir after all. She went to a store that is a high-end store. I'm not even going to mention the store.
Shall I?
No. But I want to tell you something. Anybody that buys a piece of jewelry in this high-end store, what I'm telling you is you're entitled to do with your money whatever you wanted to do with it. But I saw a picture of the ring. It's a nice little ring. Is all of it put together worth $7,000? Who knows? But that's what she paid for it. And you stole it. And she doesn't have it back. And she's entitled to be made whole. because whatever it is, she's out $7,000 and she doesn't have her ring because of you.
I know.
So, I mean, the limit of my jurisdiction is $5,000. She understood that when she came to this court, right?
Yes.
You've been in treatment?
Yes. I've been sober ever since.
How long?
It's 2.5 months now.
It's not a long time.
No, but it's still longer than I had 2.5 months ago.
I know.
And I'm also on Prozac, and I've been with a psychiatrist, and it was a very sobering experience. And I'm pregnant, so it's devastating to me, what I've done. And I've lost my best friend.
Doesn't sound as if this was a great year for you. Next year will be better.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Miss Golder.
Yes.
She hasn't had a good time. She brought it about by herself. She knows that. I have a feeling that she understands that. You've been a friend for a long time. I'm going to give you your $5,000. I absolutely believe that you are entitled to that. I think Miss Greer believes that you're entitled to that, too. She feels terrible. I am quite sure that when you woke up in the morning and found your jewelry missing and realized who took your jewelry, you felt devastated.
That she would do something like that to me.
Right. She was really, at that point, I honestly believe, pushed to the wall, and she didn't know what to do. It was either taking your jewelry or going out and mugging somebody or getting killed herself. Because, you know, drug dealers can be, not can be, are despicable pun scum. And they can be deadly despicable pun scum. So she was afraid. That doesn't excuse her. But if she's sober, and I believe that she is because she's been very honest with me otherwise, she probably could use all the support she can get. Well, Miss Greer, you have a responsibility now that is far beyond a responsibility to yourself.
I know.
And if you ever think of relapsing, I suggest that you take yourself a visit to a
Rehab.
local hospital.
Right.
And go into the neonatal intensive care unit and see what a baby looks like when they're born with heroin or cocaine withdrawal.
Right.
I guarantee you that that will be a more sobering experience than the one you had here. Got it?
Bet.
All right. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000.
I'm sorry,
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You can step out. I'll be back to you, right?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I could go to jail. You know, I mean, right now, you know, I could go to jail. You know, I just don't, I never thought I was that kind of a person. The one thing that I think that Judge Judy gave me back was my friend. You know, I mean, because you know, she wasn't even speaking to me before. You know, to me, the value of her friendship is worth more than the money itself. And I did something wrong, and you know, this is a lesson that had to be learned.
I always forgive her. I always forgive her. Yeah. I'm sorry, Mom. I know.
Thank you very much for your time. Best of luck.
Thank you, Judge Judy.
This is Nava. Step forward, please.
33-year-old business consultant Nikki Mohammed is suing 18-year-old Lily Nava for stealing his Lexus and vandalizing it. Lily claims her friend was being attacked and used his car to get away.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 305 on the calendar in the matter of Mohammed versus Nava. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Oh, Bert, it always worries me when I see evidence in a plastic bag.
Me too, Judge.
Mr. Mohammed, you are suing the defendant. Would you stand up straight, please, as a court? For $750 because you say she stole your car and vandalized it. Is that right?
That's right.
You and the defendant went to a club together, correct? Dance club. You were with a male friend, And she had 2 other female friends with her. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. It was a Mexican nightclub. So,
I don't see how that's particularly relevant, madam. Whether it was a Mexican nightclub or what kind of a nightclub
what would he
it was.
be doing at a Mexican nightclub? You know?
We're talking about his card, not about what kind of club it was.
Okay.
Just be quiet and pay attention. So you're inside the club and you're dancing and I assume doing what you do at a club, and it came time for you to leave. According to your complaint, you got into your car. You were in the passenger seat, front passenger seat. Is that right?
Yes.
Your male friend and your 2 female friends were in the back seat.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, you acknowledge that you took his car.
I didn't take it. The police report doesn't say I took it, my friend took it.
That's what you say. You say your friend took the car and you left it at your brother's house. We'll get to that in a moment. Now, according to your complaint, sir, you got out of the car.
Yes.
Tell me why.
When I was leaving the club, there was a girl, excuse me, there was a girl that I spoke to earlier at the club. She flagged me down to talk to me. I parked my car, left the car running, went around the car to talk to the girl.
How far away from the car were you at that point?
2 feet. I was right next to my car. I was talking to her. My friend was in the car, so I felt safe since he was on the back seat. He got out of the car to join the conversation.
So he left the girls in the car too, and the 2 of you guys went and talked to this other girl.
We were standing right next to the car talking to the girls, correct?
Was there one girl or more than one girl that you were talking to?
One girl.
So the 2 of you guys were talking to one girl?
I was talking, he was listening.
Okay. And then what happened?
And then as sudden, I saw my car moving, like backing up. I looked at my car and then I saw Lily on the driver's seat. I tried to run after her to stop her, like telling her to stop. And the security guards in the club, they also ran after her, but she took off at high speed. I ran to a payphone in the parking lot, and I called 911. I reported the car stolen. The police responded within minutes. They tried to screen the whole area around like the club. They couldn't find the car.
Now, you ultimately, according to your complaints, had to take a taxi cab home for $100.
Actually, 115, and that was about 3 hours later because I had to walk for about 3 or 4 miles to get to the nearest payphone at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I called the cab and I went
And then
home.
you got the car back. Ultimately, they found the car.
Correct. Actually, she took the keys to the police department and she told them where the car is.
Okay. How much later?
I would say about at least 16, 17 hours later, I was able to locate my car.
Now, describe the car when you got it back, sir.
The car was very dirty. There was vomiting on the door, on the inside, on the interior and the exterior, on the carpet, on the leather. There was so much trash, like fast food trash from Jack in the Box. The property inside the car was badly vandalized.
What property?
I had a radar detector.
You had what?
A radar detector.
Radar detector.
That I paid $380 for it. This is the mounting bracket, and this is the wire connection, and that's all what's left from that device. My Ray-Ban sunglasses were flattened. Somebody has been sitting on them, so they're not usable. And as you can see, that the whole frame is twisted.
What's in the bag?
In the bag, actually, this is my belongings were left like this. If you look at them, some of them are business documents. Some of them are checkbooks that have been taken out of their cover. My credit cards were like.
Well, were these in a suitcase or an attaché case or just in the glove compartment?
I had them.
just on the
I had them like
in
this
the bag.
in the trunk. I had them like this in bags like these in the trunk. And then when I found the car, everything was trash and the bags were empty and the credit cards were all over. Until this point, I don't know if there is any of the credit cards missing or the IDs that I have because it's just a big mess for me to go through it in such a short period of time.
All right.
If you want me to itemize the parts that were damaged or missing.
In a minute.
Okay.
Now let's hear your story. Look at me.
Okay.
Because I read your answer.
Okay. He picked us up and we went out. There was no intention, like, you know, we didn't go out as a date. We went as friends.
He called you or you called him?
He paged me, and I called him back.
So you called him?
Yeah. And he asked me, what are you going to do tonight? I said, I'm going to go out. And then he says, well, why? Because we were going to go out before, but I was like, I didn't want to go out with him. And
so
then
you
we went. He came and he picked us up.
You and 2 friends?
Me and my friend here. My other friend, she moved already. They picked us up. They weren't even dressed to go to a club at all. I mean, he was wearing like jeans and some shoes with no socks and like almost a t-shirt. It was like a t-shirt. And we went out. He didn't do anything. All he did was sit down the whole night. We were on our own.
Miss Nava.
Yes.
He may not have been dressed to go out to a club. I think you are not in the position to even refer to that, since in my judgment, you are not dressed appropriately for court.
Well,
do you understand?
I'm coming from work.
I don't care whether you're coming from work. Did
I'm
you ever
coming
hear
from work.
Listen to me, Miss Nava.
You know.
Did you ever hear the word sweater?
I don't have a sweater.
Right.
It's hot
Come on.
outside.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The way he was dressed was awful. Awful. No class at all. To drive a nice car like he does, he has no class dress.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Nikki Mohammed and Lily Nava met at a club. Nikki says Lily stole his car and trashed it. Lily says her friend was being attacked and needed the car to get away.
And then what happened?
Him and his friends were out somewhere, and me and my friends were just our way. So it was time to leave, and we were leaving. Okay, I went inside to go to the restroom. My friend was in the car, and my other friend was in the car. When I come back, my friend here, and it's sitting down, she was kind of drunk, and she was crying, saying that he was going up her skirt. Well, because she was out the sunroof. They were parked, and she was standing out the sunroof. That he was going up her skirt. And I was like, why are you doing that? And then he started yelling at her. I was like, why are you yelling at her? And he was like, hold on. And that's when we reversed, and he parked. So after that, my friend Sandra, she didn't drink at all. She was mad because of what he was doing to her. And she's here to explain it to you.
This one, the one who was drunk? The one who you just told me was drunk. She's going to explain it to me? This I got to hear. Right here.
Order.
Well, I was just like on the sunroof. I was outside saying bye to my friends.
You were on the sunroof?
Yes.
You mean you were sticking your head out of the sunroof?
Yeah, but the car was parked.
Oh.
And I was just saying bye to my friends because we have friends there. And all of a sudden, the guy, I don't know who it was, I just saw a guy with a beard. He was going up my dress. He lifted my dress up.
So you didn't know who it was?
No, I just saw a guy, because I saw his face, and I just saw, like, a beard on his face.
Yeah, go ahead.
And that's it, and that's all it, and I got down, and I sat down, and I was crying, because nobody has ever done that to me. And I don't like that, so.
You shouldn't drink, to the point where you don't remember what's happening to you, madam.
No, I remember what happened to me. I know what he did.
She wasn't passed out.
Did you put your hands on her?
Your Honor, they were all wearing pants. None was wearing dress. So
She was wearing a dress.
I was wearing a dress.
And to answer your question, no, I did not.
Well, you were in the sun. Listen to me carefully. See, because I'm reading your answer here. Common sense suggests to me that the story that you're telling me is a lot of baloney. Let me tell you why. What I'm hearing is that he got out of the car to talk to another girl, which ticked you off.
No.
Just pay careful attention, because she's sitting in the back seat of the car. He was driving the car. How do you get him?
The car was stopped. We were parked in front of the club.
Doesn't make any difference.
Yeah,
the
car was parked. It does make a difference.
Listen carefully, ladies. So what you're telling me is, let me suggest this scenario, if it helps you. He got out of the driver's seat. He came back in the passenger seat where you were, because you were in the front passenger seat. That's what you just told me.
She was in the middle. The sunroof,
I was in the back.
The sunroof is right in the middle of the car. She got up, and then he got back in the car.
See, I was
gone.
I just got up. I was waving by
in the middle. It's in the middle. The sunroof is in the middle of the car.
Let me ask you this question, Miss Nava.
Nava.
You had two friends with you. One's drunk, right? And you just came back from the bathroom. And you're at a club where there are all kinds of security guards, right? Why didn't you take your drunk friend and your other friend and get out of the car and go into the club and say, we're having some problems with the people who brought us?
Because he was yelling at us, telling us to get in the car. He was like, get in the car, get in the car. I'm like, calm down, what's your problem? He's like, get in the car, we're gonna leave already.
So what you're telling me is, listen to me, so what you're telling me is, instead of, you were frightened of him, So instead
I'm not frightened of him.
So why did you get into the car?
I wasn't frightened. She was frightened. I just wanted to go home. That's all.
So why didn't you go? Who do you live with?
My dad and my brother.
So why didn't you go into the club and call your dad and call your brother? Let me tell you what you said here in your answer. Quiet! Let me tell you why. I read your answer, and it all doesn't sound very kosher to me. You know what kosher means? They don't serve kosher food in a Mexican club. All right. You say, Sandra will appear with me in court.
She left already.
Just a second. So she's not here. Sandra, the one who you blamed for actually driving
I
the car
didn't
away.
blame. She was driving.
No, that's what you say. I just drove
Well, the
along with
police
Sandra.
said-
Hey,
We didn't blame her.
Are
She
you?
said it.
Are you?
We didn't blame
Try
her.
not to talk over me. Listen, madam, you don't know what was happening. You were drunk and probably vomited all over the car.
No.
All right?
That's not even true.
So, listen to me. Try to listen, ladies. You say that you did this because you were afraid for your own safety and your friend's safety, and that's why you took the car.
I didn't do anything. My friend drove the car. I didn't drive nothing. She got in the car and we left. She said,
we were just in the car and she just took off.
The police called at my parents' house. This is what you wrote. And I told them exactly where they could find the car. And they picked up the keys from me with no problem or questions. And they recovered the car.
Because they asked for me at my house. And they were over my house. We came back in the morning to my dad's house. Then the police called me.
You came back in the morning?
Yeah.
Well, where were you all night?
At my brother's house.
Why?
Why? Because that was the nearest place to get there. We just got there and we stood there. I didn't want to go home with the stolen car to my dad, so I went to my brother's.
Yes. I love it when a game plan comes together.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She's older and she could drink all she wants. That's how I feel.
I wasn't driving, so it's all right.
Oh, please. They tell me Costa Rica is a very good place to live in retirement.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Nikki Mohammed is suing acquaintance Lily Nava for taking his Lexus and vandalizing it. Lily says she only borrowed the car and did no damage.
Let me see your damages, sir. You have...
I have $115 for taxi.
Okay.
I had $46.90.
Just a second, Bert. Turn on the buttons, because, you know, Mother doesn't know how to do buttons.
That's all good.
Mother knows how to do truth, but not buttons. Go.
$115 for a taxi cab.
You're a big tipper. Yeah, go ahead.
No, actually, it's about 35 miles.
It was $100 here that you wrote here in the complaint, sir. When you put it on the back here, you said $115. So I assumed that it was $100. You gave him a $15 tip. Don't lie to me. You want me to show you? You want me to show you your complaint?
Actually, it was miswritten. But anyway, it's $115 for taxi cab. It's $46.90 for rental car. It's $35 for the key emblem.
When did you rent a car?
The next day.
Why?
At 9:30, because I had no car. I had to go about my business.
Why didn't you tell your girlfriend to take you?
Madam. Madam.
When I received the keys back.
Ay, ay, ay. This is our future. Go ahead. This is our future.
When I received,
Come.
When I received
What
the
else?
keys, when I received the keys back, they were missing this emblem, $35 worth of emblem. The Whistler ES80 detector, that's worth $380. Ray-Ban glasses that are flattened for $125.
Get the Ray-Ban glasses.
$165.
165?
$165 for detailing.
For the what?
Detailing.
What's detailing?
Detailing the car, to clean the car, to clean
To
the...
clean it.
The
Oh, to
vomit.
clean it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
And
want to clean out the car.
$16 for jumper cables that were missing from the trunk.
Jumper cable.
I don't think that they took your jumper cable, sir. Hey, Bert, are these
We didn't
nice
take
Ray-Bans?
anything from his car. We left everything there.
Quiet. You trashed his car. There isn't a question in my mind that you and your friends trashed his car.
He could have put it all together by now. Look at that bag. It's been like 6 months now.
Mr. Mohammed, I want to tell you something. Bird, you like this?
Yeah. It was still has it in the bag.
She may buy him.
125 for the Ray-Bans?
Yeah. 125 for the Ray-Bans. What else?
That's it. That's
how much
the
we got?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
I got
7 items.
$682.90.
$682.90.
No, no, that is not correct.
That's what's got. Bird never makes a mistake with the calculator,
Well,
sir.
$115.
I'm not giving you
Okay.
credit for the emblem, sir, on your keys. Go ahead.
46.
What else?
There are 7 items. If you add them up right,
These are the items, Bird. $165 for detailing, $125 for the Ray-Bans, $380 for the radar detector, $47 for the rental car, and $115 for a taxi cab.
$832?
Okay. Now, Mr. Mohammed, you have to exercise good judgment, sir.
Yeah, you're too
You
old
are-
for this.
How old are you?
I'm 18. He's 30, what, 5?
Madam, nobody dragged you in the car. Nobody told you that you had to go
He
with
didn't
him.
have to lie
Nobody
about
said.
his age.
Nobody said.
He lied about everything.
He lied
his
about his
name,
age.
about his age, where he lived, everything. Everything he told me was a lie.
Good. So you stole his car. Stupid.
We didn't steal
What?
it, though.
Just a second. Let me explain something to you. This is dangerous business. Dangerous business. You acted like an idiot that night. You got one friend who's drunk. I don't know where the other one is. I don't know whether she had been drinking or not. You're at,
It's all right, though.
She doesn't drink. She's old enough to drink. The other girl's not old enough to drink. She's old enough, she could drink all she wants. That's how I feel.
I wasn't driving, so it's all right.
Oh, please. Costa Rica. They tell me Costa Rica is a very good place to live in retirement.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Mr. Mohammed, be smart, right? Don't fool around with babies. These are babies. They're not fully cooked yet. The only thing that they are is stupid because they shouldn't have been in your car. And they certainly, if they felt that they were threatened, which I doubt. See, because if I really felt that they were threatened by you or your friend, I would have some compassion for them. But it seems to me, if you feel threatened in a situation and you are in a place where there is all kinds of security, you take yourself,
but they don't even do
nothing.
you take yourself inside to a phone booth where there are a lot of people, and you make a phone call to your father, your brother, whatever
He
else.
said it himself, the phone's not till 3 blocks away.
that's not true. They're in the parking lot.
Didn't you just say that?
No.
Yeah. And you're lying.
No,
Again.
it's right there in the police report.
Always lying. Always.
There is a phone in the club.
But he said he had to walk.
There is a phone.
He said he had to walk.
He said
He could have gone to the phone in the club too.
Madam, he said he chased your car.
Where? To the end of the parking lot?
God, get her out of here. Judgment in this case is with a plaintiff in the amount of $832.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy,
The way he was dressed is awful. Awful. No class at all. To drive a nice car like he does, he has no class to dress. Right now, maybe, but when he went out with us, no way. She was drunk. You know, I knew what was going on.
But see, that's all right. I'm old enough.
This is a joke, you know? This is a joke. He's a 30-year-old man. He's kind of grown.
Lucio and her husband Jesse are suing Sandra's plastic surgeon, Dr. Richard Cole. The Lucios claim Dr. Cole botched Sandra's breast enlargement surgery, and now she faces another operation.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 183 on the calendar in the matter of Lucio versus Cole. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mrs. Lucio, is this your husband?
Yes.
Why don't you have a seat, sir? And you are Dr. Cole.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Lucio, you are suing Dr. Cole because you say that he performed a breast augmentation procedure for you and you were not satisfied with the result.
That's correct, Your Honor.
I gather from your complaint that this was not the first time that you had had a breast augmentation procedure.
That's correct.
When was the first time that you had the procedure done?
It was in 1992.
What happened with that procedure?
It was fine.
So why are you doing it again?
for larger breasts.
Why?
It's what I wanted.
If you had the procedure done in 1992 and you said it was fine, what changed in the last 4 or 5 years?
I just thought that I would prefer larger breasts. I had breastfed my children, and I was at a certain size. And with age, my figure had changed, and that I wanted it more in proportion.
And are you telling me that you were totally satisfied with the procedure that was done in 1992?
Yes.
Well, let me make sure. Didn't you tell me in your complaint that your breast size was different? One was heavier than the other?
That was before any surgery.
And after the 1992 surgery, both breasts were exactly the same?
Pretty much. It was from a different doctor.
I know it was from a different doctor. What do you mean, pretty much?
It was to my satisfaction, yes.
Okay. And then you consulted Dr. Cole.
That's correct.
Why didn't you go back to the doctor that you consulted in 1992 and who did the surgery in 1992?
He had moved.
Okay. Moved to another city, another...
I just couldn't find him. He had moved. He had moved from an area he wasn't... I couldn't find him. I couldn't locate him.
Did you try?
I had went to him when I had a problem with some pain, and I had went back to his office, and they were doing some remodeling around that area. And so, and also I had had a girlfriend that gave me some information on Dr. Cole, and I had seen his work on some lip surgery that he had done for her, and I just thought I'd try another doctor.
Okay. So he came well recommended to you?
He came recommended for a different type of surgery.
So why did you decide to use him for breast surgery?
I went and had a consultation with him. I listened to what he had to say, and I just thought I would use him.
How much was he going to charge you for the surgery?
He was going to charge me originally $3,600.
And ultimately?
The $75 consultation fee, and then I also paid, the total was $3,200 with the surgical center was $800, which brought a total of $4,000.
How much did you pay for the first surgery?
I don't recall, not the total.
Do you remember?
I wasn't involved with her at the time.
Oh.
I wasn't married to her at the time, Your Honor.
When did the two of you get married?
In '95.
But you have children from a prior marriage, is that right?
Correct, yes.
You have no children together?
No.
I want to ask you a couple of questions, so stand up here. You fell in love with her the way she was, right?
Yes.
Did you encourage her to have this second surgical procedure?
No, I did not.
Did you try to discourage her?
Yes, I did.
My kind of man. You said, I love you the way you are, honey, don't do it.
Yes, I did.
Probably should have listened to him. How long do you stay in the hospital when you have this surgical procedure?
2 hours.
And how long is the discomfort period afterwards?
It's for about a week.
Or more?
Or more.
Well, in this case, Your Honor, it's ever since it's happened. She's not able to even look at herself in the mirror. I have to deal with that.
Well, I don't quite understand, because according to the complaint, your complaint against Dr. Cole is that your breasts are a different size.
Correct, they're uneven.
Uneven.
We paid the money that we paid for them to be even. They were even the
I
first
wouldn't have
time.
listened to me. At my age, I don't look so closely anymore. Even, uneven, I'm just happy that I have them, that's it.
Well, Your Honor, if I may,
yes.
The first time she had it done, they were even. They were balanced out. We informed Dr. Cole, and we gave him the procedure that had been done the first time and explained to him that they were uneven and that the first doctor had compensated for the fact that they were uneven. He explained to us that he understood and that he would make the proper adjustment to make them come out even, which he did not.
Dr. Cole? I'll hear you, sir.
When the couple came to me, the chief complaint here was that they did not like the first surgeon's work at all. She complains, and I have pictures to show, that the nipples pointed towards the axilla or the armpits bilaterally.
Did you complain about that?
No, he showed that to me, but I hadn't noticed.
You hadn't noticed it?
I mean, it was the way I was.
Go ahead.
She had a large retraction pocket with a muscle pulling in on the right side particularly. The breasts weren't round or smooth. They were irregularly shaped where the type of implants that were placed were adhesed to the capsules.
I don't understand all that. Does that mean they didn't look nice?
They didn't look nice.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
So if you want to come back into chambers with me and you want to show me what your breasts look like, I'm certainly prepared to do that.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Plastic surgeon Dr. Richard Cole denies he did anything wrong when he performed breast enlargement surgery on Sandra Lucio. Sandra says Dr. Cole botched the procedure.
Go ahead, Dr. Cole.
The chief complaint they had at that time was the shape. They did not like the shape of the breast. They didn't think it was normal or natural, and there was a lot of discomfort, particularly on the right side. The second thing...
you said that you had gone back to the other doctor because you'd had some discomfort.
I had pulled a muscle.
Just a second. Look at me. Did you complain that you had discomfort to Dr. Cole?
That I had... No.
Discomfort?
No, he's not the one that I went back to. I went back to the original one.
I know that. When you went to see Dr. Cole, did you tell him that you had discomfort?
I had pain.
Pain. All right. You told him that you had pain on one side of your breast?
No, I had pain from the incisions, not pain from...
What difference does it make whether it's pain from the incision from the surgery or pain from the implant? It's the same thing. You had pain in your breast, madam. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
I understand.
Go ahead, Dr. Cole.
The second thing they said was they'd like to have the breast enlarged if possible. The third thing I garnished not from them, but from the records they had given me from the first surgery, that there was some inequality between the breast sizes. The doctor had estimated that the difference between the two breasts was around 25 cc's difference, which is less than 2 tablespoons. But I said, if that's the third thing in terms of your interest, I will try to get that as close as possible. When I did the surgical procedure, I had a difficult time getting the capsules, the shape of the breasts, and I spent most of my time working on that so they'd be round and smooth, the nipples would point forward. The second amount of time I tried to do was to get the implant of largest size that I could in. And I explained this to Lucio's time and time again, that I could only get the size implant in that I could get in. I could not get more stuff in the area if it would not go. And I fill the implants till they're completely full and as much size as... I do not have any prior conceived notion about implant size. They cost the same to me. There's no more problem getting them in if they're bigger. I had no axe to grind as far as I put the largest ones that would fit in her body safely and still be able to close the muscle tissue. I did that, and by the time I got the implants filled, I could not take some out of one side to make them even because it would have made one implant grossly smaller than the other. And I explained this to him, that I had done the best I could to get best shape, the most size I could out of them, and that's what my aims were. She had on one side, just for numbers, 300 cc's before I started, and I ended up with 430. That's over a third larger than what she started off with. On the other side, again, I put 430 cc's.
Do you have photographs for me?
I have preoperative photographs.
And I'd like to see the postoperative photographs.
I don't have any postop. She did not come back from the postop.
I have some photographs.
Well, I'd like to take a look at...
Sir, stay right there.
Okay. Can I see the postoperative photographs, please?
May I say something, Your Honor?
Yes.
When we went to Dr. Cole informed us that he was able to put 400, the bag size, 400 cc's in her breasts and enlarge them to anywhere between, one side would be 450 to 460, the other side would be 490 to almost 500. When the doctor did the surgery, the only reason we even found out that he didn't put the right size in was because we asked for a copy of his report from his secretary. His secretary gave us a copy of the report. My wife was just devastated because he had not put the size that he indicated to us. We immediately went back into his office and said, "You didn't put the right size." He said, "Well, they no longer make that size."
Mr. Lucio.
Yes.
I can't use these photographs because these photographs don't show me anything. You showed me photographs. Your wife is wearing a brassiere.
Well, she was embarrassed to show you them without, Your Honor.
Well, then that's not proof, sir. I need proof.
That shows you that I can't wear a bra.
No, it doesn't, madam, because I can, any woman can put on a bra, and unless she puts both sides in the same way, she can manipulate one side so one side looks one way and one side looks the other way. I have one set of photographs with the way you look preoperative, and I don't have anything here. You understand that, Mr. Lucio? I mean, what I have here is something that's masked, that's covered.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Then there's something more involved here than the desire to have perfect, huge breasts.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 38-year-old Sandra Lucio and her husband Jesse are suing Sandra's plastic surgeon, Dr. Richard Cole. The Lucios claim Dr. Cole botched Sandra's breast enlargement surgery, and now she faces another operation.
I mean, what I have here is something that's masked, that's covered.
Well, we have a report, I'm sorry, from another doctor, Dr. Villicana. Wait, no, it's, if I may, just, Your Honor, it's just a...
Evaluation and the cost of what it would be to correct the surgery.
I am not going to read a report from another doctor. If you want to show me another doctor's bill, a bill I will certainly look at, but I will not accept another doctor's statement in lieu of the doctor's testimony.
We were charged for this doctor's report so that he could also, you know, show you that there is a difference. Just by
He says there's a difference. Madam, he says that there's a difference.
This is a drastic difference. I cannot wear a bra that's a normal size. One size fits and the other one does not. I would show you, you're a woman, you would just by looking at me. I can't wear a bathing suit. I can't wear anything.
Have you been back to Dr. Cole?
We talked to Dr. Cole. The way he told me is that every woman is basically odd-sized. You're not born even. And he said that there wasn't much difference. To me, there is a difference. Eventually, after talking to him, then he said, okay, I agree. He would go in and reopen the valve. When we spoke to the other doctor...
When he said reopen the valve, he meant reopen the valve and take some out from one side?
No, he was going to put some more in.
Madam, I don't understand you. You know, I'm looking at the procedure, the preoperative procedure, the preoperative photographs. And quite frankly, I don't understand why in the world an apparently intelligent woman would want to have her breasts enlarged any larger than these are.
You make intelligent choices. I made an intelligent choice. You may not agree, but it was my choice.
It was your choice. It was your choice, and what's going to happen is you're going to have 3 surgeries on your breast. You know, there were women out there, Miss Lucio, who would love to just have breasts that didn't give them any trouble. 2 natural, nice breasts that didn't cause them any grief. You have children, you got a nice husband who said to you, dear, I love you just the way you are. Don't do anything. You're going to have surgery now 3 times in order to...
Well, if he would have done it properly, I would have only had the 2. I would have been satisfied with what I wanted, what I asked for.
Miss Lucio, I can't tell from your photographs the extent of the difference. So if you want to come back into chambers with me, and you want to show me what your breasts look like, and I am not an expert, so I'm just a lay person looking at you and seeing whether there's such an aberration, so that there is such negligence on the part of the doctor, so that I should award you $5,000. I'm certainly prepared to do that. Is that what you want to do?
That's fine.
Let's go.
Step over this way, ma'am.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Dr. Cole, I must tell you that when we were in the back, I had no conversation with Mrs. Lucio with regard to this case. She was very upset. She still seems to be very upset, and what I was trying to do was to calm her a little bit and to tell her that if she wasn't prepared to proceed with this matter today, I was prepared to adjourn it unless she could compose herself. But we did not discuss the case because I know you were not with me. You might have felt certain misgivings. Do you understand?
I have no misgivings, Your Honor.
Good. Ms. Lucio, I want you to look at me. I'm jealous. I say that in the hope to get a smile on your face, madam. I will tell you that what I viewed back there was a hell of a lot better than the photographs, the preoperative photographs that were furnished to me by Dr. Cole. And quite frankly, Mr. Lucio, I think you are exaggerating to a tremendous extent. What you said was a vast difference in the size of your wife's breasts. I certainly did not see it. I saw a breast enlargement that clearly was larger than what she had. The shape was much better than what she had. And whatever difference in size was de minimis to my naked, untrained eye. And I tell you, Miss Lucio, right now that I believe that if you're prepared to put yourself through another surgical procedure, then there's something more involved here than the desire to have perfect, huge breasts. And that you would be very wise to address what it is that's really motivating you to do this. To cut yourself up every couple of years in the quest to have the perfect breast. You are the mother of, you told me in the back, 3 children. Right? You've got a husband who seems like a nice guy who says, I like you just the way you are. What I saw back there would, to me, it's as close to perfect as you could want. And yet you're not satisfied, so there's something else there. And I suggest that it may need a different kind of doctor to address what would motivate someone like you, who has 3 healthy kids, doesn't have breast cancer, thank God, doesn't have anything wrong with themselves, to put you through 3 surgeries because you see that one breast is slightly smaller than the other. Insane. And for you to encourage her in that regard, sir, is wrong. You know what? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I understand.
I know you understand. You seem like an intelligent man. Don't encourage her. There's something else there in your wife's head that she's unhappy with. And if this is the vehicle that she's using in order to satisfy that, it's destructive. Dr. Cole, I don't think you made any errors when you did the surgical procedure on the plaintiff. I'm dismissing her lawsuit. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I think she saw that they were uneven. To her, something small and minute. You know, I just think that if any woman was thinking about having it done with Dr. Cole, his code of ethics is very poor.
No, I've been doing this 21 years. I've never had anybody break the court over this. Well, I feel very sorry that I couldn't make the Lucios happier, and that's about all I have to say.
The judge obviously is out of touch with reality, and it's her courtroom. She's my wife, and I love her.
Caregiver Leslie Early claims she was wrongfully fired by Maxie and Tim Yates. The Yates say they won't pay her because she lied about her background as a convicted felon.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 372 on the calendar in the matter of Early versus Yates. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Early, your complaint alleges that you were hired by the defendants to babysit for their child. Beautiful baby.
That's me.
Look at that. Look at him.
Okay.
And that you did babysit for him for a week, and you were supposed to be paid $250. You were not paid.
Correct.
They have what they consider a very legitimate reason for not paying you. Tell me how you were hired by the defendants. How did they find you?
I called an ad that was listed in the Union Tribune, the paper, And we set up an interview, and I went to their house, and they met me and talked with me for a while and hired me that night. And I started work, I believe it was 2 days after that night.
Had you been working before?
I've worked before, but no, I was not working at the time.
Had you ever done childcare before?
Yes. I've never been paid for it, but my mother is a foster mom for newborn babies.
But you
so I
had
grew up.
not done childcare before?
No.
Okay. And the agreed salary was $250 a week?
No, it was $800 a month, but when they called to let me go, Maxie explained that $250 was what they figured. And then I reminded them about $7 that I spent of my own money on grocery food. I went grocery shopping.
But you did, in fact, stay with the baby for a week?
I stayed for a week and 2 days.
Okay, and when were you let go?
I was let go a week later, after I had worked the whole following Monday through Friday. The following Saturday, I got a phone call and I was let go.
From who made the phone call?
Maxie.
Can you tell me what that conversation was?
She called to let me go and said that she had her reasons, that it was very difficult for her to leave the baby alone while she was working, and that she needed to have surgery done, and that she wasn't going to be going back to work. And I was kind of upset by it because I, was happy working there, and I really enjoyed working for them and for the little boy. I mean, he's adorable. And I asked, does it have anything to do with me? And I was told absolutely not, and that I should be a housekeeper, was the quote that she said, because she was very happy with the housework I did. I did a lot of housework. She asked me if I would like the check mailed to me or if I'd like to come pick it up, and I said I'd like to come pick it up. And they said that they had some errands to do and stuff and to call them later that day.
The check was not forthcoming, so, I mean, I've read your statement, so I know that according to you, they kept promising that the check was in the mail. The check was never in the mail.
Never.
Ultimately, they told you they were not going to pay you.
In the end, 3 weeks later.
3 weeks later, what did they tell you?
After phone calls of being promised my money was coming, I said, can I come over and pick up a check? And they said, well, we need to talk. She explained to me that she didn't think I did the job I was supposed to do, and that I was sleeping in their house, that I was taking showers in their house. All this is very untrue, and that they had a videotape of me in their house while I was working. And so my boyfriend took the phone away because I started getting upset and started to cry. And he took the phone and said, what seems to be the problem? He got hung up on by Maxie, and he called back, immediately called back, and then he talked with her. And Maxie proceeded to tell my boyfriend, Stefan, that I abused their baby, that, and then again, that I was sleeping and showering. And
did you sleep in the house?
No.
Did you ever shower in the house?
No.
Okay. Now, you want to tell, so you were not paid?
No.
You want to tell me why?
I'm glad. Sure, her accounts are fairly accurate. She did come to work, as she stated. We had an interview with both my husband, myself, and I. Actually, Your Honor, if I could submit some information for evidence, I'd appreciate
what is it?
That. We had a background check run on Miss Early. We've got 12 pages worth of, she's got quite a criminal history. We asked her whether or not she had a criminal background. She stated to us that she did not. One of the requirements of employment was that she be fingerprinted, and we let her...
One of your requirements?
Correct,
Yes.
and that was to be done within the first 3 days of employment, and she never submitted the fingerprints. She did, however, and I have a copy of this, she submitted to us her driver's license, which is an alias name that she is using. She's got 12 pages worth of
I have no other
criminal
names.
background. She's a habitual felon. Much of her background is...
you didn't get that information until when?
Actually, the Monday that she began, that she was alone with the child, we had gotten a report back from the investigators saying that the local check had cleared and that they didn't find anything on her, so we felt confident. And the Friday that we let her go, we got the out-of-state check, which was, we've got 12 pages worth of her history.
I'll look at that in a moment.
Okay.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
I've had no other aliases. I've had no other names.
Not according to this, madam.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Leslie Early says Maxie and Tim Yates owe her for babysitting. The Yates claim that a secret videotape shows Leslie endangering their child.
You indicate in your answer that you had, in fact, set up a babysitting surveillance video.
Correct, yes.
And when did you start this video process?
We started that the Monday that she began by herself with the baby.
And did you view the video that night?
We did, yes.
Was there anything untoward on the video that night?
Well, on that evening, there were some things that we were slightly concerned about, but we thought that we could speak with her and without really letting her know, because why give it away and get a true effect of what she was doing.
So there was nothing on the video on Monday
not
that
so much
suggested
on
to you
Monday.
that you should immediately terminate her?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Now, on Tuesday, did you view the video?
On Tuesday, my husband had come home early.
The answer is either yes or no.
Yes, yes, in person and on the video.
Was there anything on the video on Tuesday that suggested that you had to terminate her employment on Tuesday?
We thought that we could speak with her and work through it.
Miss Early.
In retrospect,
Why don't you
I'm
have a
sorry.
seat with the baby, sir?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. In retrospect, I think I should have let her go on Tuesday.
Mr. Yates? Yes. He's absolutely adorable. Right. I cannot order him to be quiet. So if he wants to play, if he wants to, you can take him outside, sir. Miss Yates, you sound like a very intelligent person. If there was anything on that video that suggested to you that your child was in danger, you would not have gone to work on Tuesday or Wednesday. That's, I mean, if you went to work on Wednesday.
There were concerns.
Concerns is different. Because this is a question of paying her for the week, even though you terminated her. So I'm trying to find the point in time. It's not Monday, and it wasn't Tuesday.
It was Wednesday.
All right. What happened on Wednesday?
On Wednesday, she had left the baby on the couch. He was at the point of sitting up and rolling over. She had left the room for a good 20 minutes. At that time, the baby was sitting up, rolling over, and going back and forth on the edge of the couch. My husband and I were watching this tape at the end of the day and just waiting for him to fall. Fortunately, he did not.
So this was on Wednesday?
That was on Wednesday.
Did you go to work on Thursday?
I did, ma'am. I was trying to maintain my job, yes.
Miss Yates?
I did.
You went to work on Thursday.
Correct.
And you left Early with the baby on Thursday.
I had asked neighbors to stop in on her.
And nobody did.
Shh. Miss Yates, you went to work on Thursday?
I went to work on Thursday and Friday.
And you went to work on Friday.
Yes.
So, despite the fact that you saw things that were of concern to you on the tape, you still left your child alone with her. 5 days.
I regret having done it, but yes, I did.
And so, Your Honor, every day I was very concerned and asked how everything was, you know.
Miss Early.
And I was
Miss
always
Early, she's
told
entitled to
everything
hire
was fine.
you, and she's entitled to fire you.
Sure, I understand all that.
Good. So, that doesn't mean you don't have to pay her. Can I see the background check, please?
Please. And there's a copy of her driver's license that she submitted. She's got a fake Social Security number that she submitted to us. The driver's license is with her fake AKA.
Who are you? You keep wanting to stand up. Who are you?
I am presently, she watches my daughter. She's watched my daughter for some time now. I don't believe when they said that they asked her and she said nothing, because I asked her and she told me that she had done some things when she was younger.
What do you mean she told you she did some things when she was younger? What does that mean?
She did some things when she was younger, living with her parents, that, you know, she went to court for. And
did you check on it?
No, I did not. I talked to her mother.
What do you mean you didn't check on it after she told you that?
I spoke to her mother in Florida.
I told her everything, so, you know, I wasn't holding back.
And how old is the child that she babysits for you?
My daughter's 5.
Okay. What is your name?
Valerie.
Valerie what?
McElroy.
Miss McElroy, all I can tell you is this. If I had a young child that I was leaving alone with someone, and if that person said to me, I do in fact have a criminal history.
That has nothing to do with children. Yes.
I would certainly do more than call her mother to find out what it was.
Well, I
That would
explained to her everything, that it was.
You're good at
and I
explaining.
was 18 years old, and it was, I don't regret what happened to me then. It was a wonderful learning experience.
Miss Early, you're not following what I'm saying. You're being defensive. What I'm saying to this parent of a young child is more prudent behavior, madam, would suggest to me that instead of calling her mother to find out what it was all about, you do your own background check to make sure that you have all the information. If you're leaving your most treasured possession with a stranger, then you do an independent background check. Do you understand?
Yes.
All right, so what you did was not enough. I mean, these things, I'm looking at the profile, and I see it is really true that, that the most recent arrest that you have was back in 1991, correct?
December
That's a
5th,
long time ago.
1990 was the only time I was arrested. December 5th, 1990, yes. And I've had no other aliases. I've had no other names. I've never had a married name. I've had that name all my life. And I have been arrested December 5th, 1990.
Not according to this, madam.
I know for a fact I'll never forget the day.
Well, there are arrests here, I will tell you, on December 7th, 1990, November 30th, 1990, November 13th, 1990.
I was only arrested on December 5th, maybe December 7th. I mean, that's, I thought I could, all these
February
years
19th
I've been...
of 91, forged check, past forged check.
I was still incarcerated in February for the same thing from December 5th, 1990.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
I got in trouble for drugs when I was 18.
And what else?
Prostitution, you are a liar.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Professional babysitter Leslie Early wants to be paid for her services. Maxie and Tim Yates refuse to pay because they say she lied about her criminal past.
Have you ever seen this personal profile?
No.
Well, I would suggest you take a look at it, because if it is incorrect, I suggest that what you do is you make sure that they fix it. But these things have a NIC. Listen to me. These things have a NIC number. They are clearly referred to you. And if somebody is making a mistake on all of these arrests, I suggest that you deal with it. But this is the information that they got. It certainly shows more than one arrest.
Okay.
Take a look at it.
Please.
Now.
Your Honor, may I say something more about that?
Yes.
There's also, more recently, in 1986, there were also several
86 or 96?
I'm sorry, 96. Here in California. She had several traffic violations and had a suspended driver's license. One of our agreements was that she would drive the baby to doctor appointments. That was one of the agreements that we had as part of her being a nanny for our child. And obviously she couldn't, she committed to something that she couldn't
Miss Yates,
do.
you have a tape with you, I see.
That's correct.
What is that tape going to show me?
Well, what we had done is...
Just tell me what it's going to show me.
This particular tape, each day we had videotaped. The most dramatic tape was not on the final day that we fired her. I had informed her in the morning that the...
What? You're not answering my question. What is that
This
tape?
shows her leaving the baby on the couch and saying, don't fall off, and she leaves the room. And it also shows her throwing the infant into the air.
Throwing the infant into the air in an anger or playfully?
Playfully, however, he's medically fragile. She knew that going into it. We explained to him he had major surgery 2.5 months before she took over his care.
But nothing that you're going to show me there indicates abusive behavior.
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
Because that had been, we had copied it over. And this just shows the vantage point that we had. It also had sound so that we could hear things that were going on through the house. There were some days, 2 days in particular, she let that baby cry, or a child cry, for over 3 hours at one time. This is not feeding him.
What day? This
okay,
Yates,
this
what
was
day?
on Wednesday and on Thursday. Thursday in particular was the worst day. She had asked to do our house.
Listen to me.
Okay.
Miss Yates. Every time a parent has to leave a young child, especially an infant, with a stranger, there are always trepidations because you're never sure about what's going to happen. You are absolutely entitled to hire and fire the caregiver of your choice, whether you have reason or whether you don't have reason. In this case, clearly, according to you, you had just cause to let her go. For the following reasons. You had tape and you weren't satisfied with her performance. And then subsequently, you received a background check which suggested to you that she was less than forthcoming with regard to what her background was. And even if you hadn't gotten this background check, according to you, you would have let her go. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
However, Mrs. Yates, you did allow her to remain in your employ, and you went to work Tuesday after you saw the tape, Wednesday after you saw the tape, Thursday after you saw the tape, and Friday after you saw the tape. You went to work, and I assume you don't work for nothing, so you got paid, right? And you said to me, I didn't want to risk my job, right?
That's absolutely correct.
You have to pay her for the week she worked for you.
You know what, Your
if you had let her go on Monday night after you viewed the tape, she would have had absolutely no cause to complain, but the fact that you permitted her to stay with your baby for that entire week, despite the fact that you and your husband were coming home every night, right, sir? And watching the tape. It is unreasonable for you now to withhold her salary. Judgment is for the plaintiff in the amount of $250. Did she, in fact, buy food for you and lay out $7?
Yes, but we had agreed at $700 a month. She had miscalculated. She said $250 a week. It was actually $175 a week.
She called me to tell me that the amount was $250 on the phone. I didn't come up with that amount.
I'm awarding you $257.
That's fine.
Great.
I want to say something to you. Look at me. When you have a young child, you're supposed to be very cautious. And I'm not suggesting that Miss Early is not a good caretaker for children. I am not making that judgment here today. All I'm saying today in today's case is these people utilized her services for a week, and they have to pay her. What I'm saying to you is you may be perfectly satisfied with her as a caregiver for your 5-year-old. You have to be more prudent in the process that you use for selecting a person. You're a parent, and your primary responsibility has to be to your child. So whether it's this lady or some other lady in the future who's going to take care of your baby, do your own background check. You don't call her mother to find out if she's a nice person. I assume that you have somebody else taking care of your baby now?
My husband and I are taking care of him. We alternate working.
Sometimes that's the only way to do it.
It's the only way we know for sure.
And let me tell you, that baby is absolutely delicious.
Thank you.
So it may be worthwhile.
Thank
Good
you,
luck.
Your Honor.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
May I get a copy of this?
Yeah, we'll get you a copy.
Okay.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
I think that they've done this before, in my opinion, and I just think that they were pulling whatever they could to try to not pay somebody. And
I think you're the one that's done things before, Leslie.
okay, Maxie, well, you're the loser today.
No, I'm not a loser.
Sure
We're the
she
winners
is.
because I feel that this person has been exposed on national TV. I'm frightened for you that she's taking care of your child.
I had a problem with drugs when I was 18 years old, and I got in trouble for drugs when I was 18.
Prostitution and what else?
Prostitution? You are
You
a
got
liar.
12 pages worth
You
there,
are
Leslie.
a liar.
12 pages
How are
of
you gonna-
forgery.
You're a liar.
Felonies.
Prostitution?
On Tuesday,
They love
the
this.
second day of recording.
Leslie,
Why are we walking
come
the
on.
house brown naked?
Father of her child smashed her radio. Jordan says Kimberly threw his television out the window.
Order. All rise.
Your Honor, this is case number 419 on the calendar in the matter of Greg versus Allison. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Gregg, this was your boyfriend?
Yes, it was.
For how long?
Around 2 years.
Did you live together?
Yes.
You have any children?
Yes, we do.
How many?
1.
How old?
14 months.
How old are you?
19.
And how old were you when the baby was born?
18.
What kind of work do you do?
Assembly work.
How old are you?
20.
Terrific. So you got into some big fights in the house, is that right?
He was the one always starting fights. He always used to break everything in my house. And he owes me a lot more than what I'm suing him for, but I didn't think I would have a good chance because the only proof I got is a radio that he had given to me after he broke my new one.
Well, so let me understand this. Because your complaint says he broke your radio.
Yes.
He says, I did. Why did you break her radio?
I was off. You know what I mean?
Didn't you know how to say that another way?
I was off, though.
Wait. All right. So you broke her radio.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But you bought her a new one.
Well, I got it off my brother. My brother gave it to me, and I gave it to her.
So you have a radio.
I could show it to you. It was all, first of all, it doesn't rewind. It eats up your tapes. It gets only 2 stations.
No, it works. You can plug it in right now. I'm trying to tell you.
Did you throw a telephone of his out the window?
It was a TV, but
A TV, excuse me. I
had a console, but I'm dropping that because I ain't worried about the $300 or whatever it was.
Did she throw your TV out the window?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I guess she was mad because I didn't go home or something.
Excuse me, Your Honor, but I can't pick up a $300 TV. It's in his mother's house, and he probably watches it every day. And he probably watches it every day. And he
Well, what did you throw out the window?
I've never threw anything of his out the window.
My CDs,
I was scared
my
of him for one
TV,
thing. I couldn't throw
all my
anything of his
What?
out the window.
All my stuff.
He's broken my kitchen set. He's broken glass tables. He's broken through my window.
She's bugging. I never broke into her house.
Miss Gregg, how long did you know him before you decided to have his baby?
It was my mistake, and I understand
How long
that.
did you know him?
It was about a week.
No.
And then,
no.
And then she was like, yeah.
How long did you know him?
Around 9 months.
It was like a week, but she got pregnant in like 9 months.
It only takes 9 months to have a baby.
Yeah, I'm saying, but after like a week, she was like, oh, don't use no condoms, whatever. I was like, nah, I want to use condoms. And
First of all, I would. I'm sorry.
And she was like, nah, we ain't going to do nothing if you use condoms. So I was like, all right, then.
Ay, 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 ay. Mr. Allison.
Yeah.
I'm going to suggest to you, sir, you're 20 years old.
Yeah.
There are ways of expressing yourself in a court or in most other civilized locations that don't involve using 4-letter words.
All right, I'm sorry about that.
Do you understand?
Yes.
You go to church ever?
I used to go to church.
I mean, would you use these words when you were talking to your priest?
Nope.
Because you knew enough not to do that, right?
I was young, too. I was like...
So you mean you got older and dumber?
Nah.
You mean when you were younger, you were smarter?
Why I gotta be dumb?
Well,
You know
because
what I
if
mean?
you were younger, you said you knew not to talk to your priest and
I never talked to the priest, really. I just went to Sunday school, like, for like 3 weeks. That's it.
Then you got kicked out.
All right. You want a new radio?
Yes.
Give him back the one he gave you.
You want to keep this radio?
No, I don't.
She doesn't want that radio, Mr. Allison.
It's not
She
wrong
wants a
with it.
new radio. And she's suing you for $120 for the new radio. Wish I could give her $120 for a new radio and give myself $500 having to suffer here listening to your language. You have a child. Boy or a girl?
Little girl.
Do you visit with her?
Well, I seen her yesterday. That's it, though, for a while.
You're going to try to be a good father?
Yeah, I'm going to school in the fall, and I got a job right now.
You wouldn't want your daughter to grow up listening to that language that you use, would you?
Nope.
Excuse me, but he swears all the time in front of her. So if he didn't want her to grow up listening to that, he wouldn't do that in front of her.
Well, you're absolutely right.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
One thing I'm really pleased about is that you have intention of going back to school. Maybe you can learn something. Maybe.
And later today,
The only way she has to check, sir, is if she takes you to court. So this is a very foolish thing to have. Very stupid.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 19-year-old Kimberly Gregg claims 20-year-old Jordan Allison, the father of her child, smashed her radio. Jordan says Kimberly threw his television out the window.
So the two of you, who had absolutely no business making a child, made a child, and neither one of
Why
you...
didn't we have any business? We used to love each other.
Because you made this child, sir, when you were 18 years old?
It doesn't matter.
Oh. I don't have enough hours in the day to get through to you, sir. But I certainly hope one thing. One thing I'm really pleased about is that you have intention of going back to school. Maybe. Just maybe. You can learn something. Maybe.
What are you trying to say? I don't know nothing now. Right.
$120 for you. Buy yourself a new radio. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'll pay child support. I'll see my daughter, but I ain't being with her no more.
That's why you call me up all
I
the
don't call
time.
you. You're crazy. You're crazy.
Oh, all right.
This
I got
girl's
messages
crazy.
to prove it.
All right.
I ain't even going to pull his card, but he knows what I'm talking about.
Okay, whatever.
And now the next case.
Parties on Basler versus Cora. Step forward, please.
29-year-old blackjack dealer Michelle Bassler is suing her ex-husband, graphic artist Peter Cora, 32, for not paying his share of their federal income taxes. Peter is countersuing his ex-wife for harassment.
Ms. Bassler, you and the defendant were married and divorced.
Correct.
And pursuant to your judgment of divorce, according to the defendant, he says that you were supposed to share the marital debts. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And then you get a statement from the Internal Revenue Service saying that you were both deficient in paying income tax for a year while you were married, and they took your whole refund to satisfy that deficiency. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And that was a joint debt?
Yes.
So you say he should be responsible for at least half?
Your Honor, a statement came to me from the IRS stating that almost $1,100 went to paying his Social Security.
His Social Security?
Number, not my number. The only reason why I was responsible is because I was married to him at the time, and we had filed jointly for 1994 taxes.
Were you working in 1994?
No.
In the year that was filed? You were not?
No, I was not.
What kind of work was your husband doing at that time?
He is self-employed.
You have children together?
Yes, we do, Your Honor.
How many children?
One.
How old is that child?
He just turned 5.
So you were staying home with him when he was young?
Yes, I did.
So how much did they take altogether?
They took $1,089.30.
Can I see, please, your judgment of divorce?
Sure.
Here you go.
What kind of business are you in, sir?
I do graphic arts and printing.
Now, Ms. Bassler, this judgment of divorce is clear. It says that the plaintiff, that's him, shall be responsible for 1/2 of various community debts, including Sears, Sizes Unlimited, Broadway, Phone Company, and IRS for 1994 taxes, among other things. Defendant shall be responsible for 1/2 of the community debts and the debt against the 1988 Mercury. This divorce judgment was in 95, was filed in 95. Clearly, this says that you're responsible for half.
Correct.
Okay. That means you're responsible for half.
Correct.
Good.
We're equally responsible for half of all community debts. And I spent over $3,000 in community debt. And I figured she didn't have a job when we were divorced. And I wanted to just, try to be fair. I paid him. I figured eventually one day down the road, it'll all wash out.
Okay.
The first penny taken from her, she blows up.
Okay. So let's see. Plaintiff, that's you. Sears bill. I'm going through each one of them. Let me see what you paid to Sears.
Your Honor, I have a $22 check for Sears that I don't have a copy of, but that was all that I paid.
$22 to Sears. Sizes Unlimited.
$150.34.
$150. So I'm going to give you credit for half of that. Sizes are limited. That was your bill?
Yes.
$75. What's next? Broadway.
Total for Broadway was $198.86.
Let's make it an even 200 because I'm so poor in math. Is that all right with you?
Yes.
Half. You get credit for $100, sir. I assume you have receipts for all these things that you paid.
Canceled checks, yes, Your Honor.
Good. So in total, sir, instead of these thousands of dollars that you're talking about, you got $175 that I'm going to give you credit for because that's what the divorce decree says.
Okay.
Right?
Fine. In the judgment, it also stated that we were to share in the payment of her father's house, which I paid a payment of $1,045, and that was the only payment made.
Just a second. Okay, both parties shall be equally responsible for the defendant, that's you, refinancing of her house in California while your father resides in the house. What does that mean?
Basically, we borrowed money on the house, and I agreed as long as her father was living there that I would share in the cost.
What do you mean you borrowed money on the house?
The house belonged originally to Michelle and her sister. Her sister basically wanted nothing to do with the loan that we needed when we moved to Las Vegas.
Just a minute. What you're telling me you took out a home equity loan on the house?
Yes.
Well, why don't you just say that? That's something
Okay.
I understand very clearly. You took out a home equity loan on her house.
On her house.
On her house. On her property.
Correct.
And what'd you all do with the money?
We moved to Las Vegas.
Together?
Together.
How much money, sir, would you say you used of the home equity loan?
Between the two of us, all of it.
How much?
Your Honor, I can't give you an exact
Give me an
amount.
idea.
Okay, the first loan was in the amount of $75,000 is correct. Over $40,000 of it went to purchase a home here in Peter's name. I was not on that house. I had given him the money for the down payment. We lived there. And the rest of it was to pay off consumer debt and to live because Peter didn't have a job from the time we moved to Las Vegas until shortly after we moved in October of '91. It wasn't until the end of January of '92 that he found employment.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
$270 a month is an outrageous amount of child support from what apparently is an educated man like yourself in his own business, right, who's got money for a tape recorder.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michelle Bassler wants her ex-husband, Peter Cora, to pay his share of their federal income taxes. He wants her to stop harassing him.
The reason I find that interesting is because I read your answer, sir, and in your answer, sir, you said that she didn't work, that you supported the whole family, that you worked and took care of everything, she just stayed home.
For the most part, I met the obligations. I was the one earning the money to pay back the loan.
Well, how much did you pay back?
We were paying probably around $1,000 a month. But
how much did you pay back?
We paid back at whatever the loan payments were until there was a balloon at the end of the loan. That's what caused the refinance.
How much did you pay on
The
it?
loan was a 30 due in 3. At the end of 3 years, I had a refinance. Peter made one payment before our divorce, and the rest of the time my sister and I took care of it.
Okay. Now, what's all this other thousands of dollars for harassment, Mr. Cora?
She has taken me to court for several things. She has told the district attorney statements that were absolutely false, and she has dragged me to court. She's made me out to be a deadbeat dad. I have paid every dime of my child support. My child is my primary concern. My divorce decree says 18% of my income. Since my income fluctuates, my child support payments fluctuated. So she...
did you have lawyers representing you in this divorce proceeding?
Yes, I did.
Did you?
Yes, Your Honor.
Don't you understand, madam, that when somebody is self-employed, you don't say, I'm going to accept 18% of his income. That brings you back and forth every single time a month comes due because you don't have a paycheck to look at, and you have absolutely no way of checking. And the only way she has to check, sir, is if she takes you to court. So this is a very foolish thing to have in a support order, 18% of your income. Very stupid.
Your Honor, can I play a tape for you?
Just a second.
It's very critical in the harassment charges.
Just a second.
Yes.
Tell me what the tape is going to say to me.
Basically, it goes with her rambling on and on, how I'm going to take you to district court, I'm going to take you to family court, I'm going to keep you in court, I'm going to make your life miserable.
So why don't you go into court, sir, and say, I want a fixed amount to pay every week?
We already have that. The district attorney ordered me to pay $270 per month, period.
Your Honor, that issue is not finished. He has to prove his income. He supplied me with computer-generated income taxes in family court. And when we went for divorce, I was not represented. Peter went to court by himself.
Listen to me. I think that until you get the issue of support resolved, there is going to be continued acrimony. You cannot have a support order that says 18% of your income, especially when you are self-employed. So I would suggest as fast as you can to get the matter of support resolved.
It has been.
No, not according to her. If a district attorney directs you to pay a certain amount of money, sir, that is not a court proceeding. A district attorney is there as an interim advocate. So he has suggested that until this matter is ultimately resolved, you pay $270. But I'm telling you this, sir, if the judge, after hearing this case, determines that you, in fact, earn more than what you told the district attorney, based upon several factors, some of which I don't think I'm going to tell you now, so that they might come as a surprise to you. You must be prepared to pay more than the $270 a month, because that doesn't probably represent 18% of your actual income. We understand each other?
Yes.
Perfect.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Your counterclaim, sir, is dismissed. I am
You
awarding...
won't allow me to play this one last piece of evidence?
No, I'm not interested in her telling you she's going to take you to every court in the United States, including the Supreme Court of the United States. $270 a month is an outrageous amount of child support from what apparently is an educated man like yourself in his own business, right, who's got money for a tape recorder. So if she's annoyed that you went through clearly with her a lot of her money, I can understand that. Shouldn't have to trust you. I get $373, Bird. I get half of $1089.
Right, which is $544.65 was what I came up with.
$544. Go ahead.
65.
Less
And then
ones?
I took away $175, and I came up with $369.65.
Oh, that's right. $369. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
For the sake of my child, I'm always polite to her. My child is #1 priority. I will not be nasty in front of her, in front of my child to her. And it was ordered in the court, in the divorce decree, that we aren't nasty to each other in front of the child.
While Trina was in a psychiatric hospital.
Order. All rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. All rise. Sir. Your Honor, this is case number 459 on the calendar in the matter of Mortley versus Ford. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
All right, Miss Morley, this is your sister?
Yes.
Who you claim in your papers stole certain property from you when you were psychiatrically hospitalized?
Yes.
How many times have you been psychiatrically hospitalized?
3 times total.
And when?
Once in 1980.
How old were you?
19. In 86, while going through a divorce. And then in July of 96.
And how long were you hospitalized in July of 96?
From July 18th to the 25th.
And do you know what your diagnosis, what your admitting diagnosis was on all 3 occasions?
The first 2 times I didn't know. I just know that I wasn't well. And but this last time, I was finally told what is called, the title of it. I have a depression-related disorder, and it's called bipolar.
And you take medication for that?
Yes.
What kind of medication do you take?
It's just a mood stabilizer. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
It was explained to me that through therapy that I have triggers that are called stress-related triggers. If I'm suffering from anxiety, my brain does not produce a certain chemical that combats the anxiety. Either your brain doesn't produce enough of it or it's not producing it at all when you're having mood swings, a severe amount of mood swings. And mine are stress-related.
And you have kids. You have 2 children?
Yes. I actually have 3.
Where is the third? Well, 2 of them are with your sister?
Yes.
Where's the third child?
The third is with his dad.
And how old is that child?
He's 2.
Now, how many sisters do you have?
This is the only sister I have.
Who are you?
The mother.
I knew that.
Thank you.
Your claim is that your sister took some of your property. I assume that that was in 1996.
Yes, when she took it, it was in 1996.
So tell me what property you believe she took from you in 1996, and tell me the circumstances.
Okay, when I was released from the hospital, I went to my sister's home because I knew I would no longer have an apartment. So I went straight to my sister's home. I resided there for 2 months. When I walked in the home, some of my furniture, I noticed some of my furniture was there. She didn't have any furniture. And my furniture was decorating her house, her living room and her dining room. And so I asked her at that time, I was going through one of my checkbooks that was in my purse, the immediate one, and I noticed a check that wasn't in my handwriting. And I asked her, well, what is this check? You know, did you make this check out? And she says, yes, I did. I actually made the check out so I could rent a U-Haul to remove the things from your apartment before the management got rid of it. I said, okay, and I left it at that.
So she rented the U-Haul, and how much was that check for?
It was approximately $100 and some odd dollars. I think $150. It was
Okay.
$150.
Okay. Now, what property do you think she still has of yours?
Honestly, I don't think she have it. I think her and her boyfriend pawned it.
What?
All of my electrical appliance. Computer, fax machine, printer, CD player, a voice-activated microphone, and then extensive damage to my furniture throughout the time that it was in her place.
So it's those things that you think your sister has, some of your electrical appliances.
Yeah.
And this check for $150 for the U-Haul.
Yes, and the damage to my furniture.
Ms. Ford?
Yes.
Let's deal with some, what I consider important issues first, because this issue is only money. Your papers indicate that you've been granted custody of your sister's children.
Yes.
When were you granted custody of your sister's
July
children?
17th, the day that they went to my mother's care July 17th. My mother called me and told Children's Services.
July of 1996?
96. July 17, 96.
Have you had a hearing after that with regard to custody of the children?
Yes, I do, and I have the paperwork here.
Can I see the paperwork, please?
I also have the paperwork. It states in there that the daughter did not answer the door. I did, which is a lie.
You understand that right now, these 2 children are really in technical foster care.
Right.
And your sister is the foster parent.
Right.
Slash aunt of the children.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So you are receiving support for the children through the state.
Correct.
Including all of my child support. And I have a son that's my son is mild cerebral palsy. She gets all of his Social Security, so she's really capitalizing off of my children.
Ms. Maudley, listen to me. I can tell that there's a certain anger in your voice. The family court really has to be very careful. They've ordered several things. They've ordered visitation for the children. They've ordered random drug testing. Right. So I assume that there is some history of substance abuse in your past, which, you know, you sound like a really intelligent gal. So, you know, if you suffer from a chemical imbalance, which causes mood swings, which causes you to go into these really vast depressions.
I made a drastic mistake, Your Honor. After the first 2 times I got sick and my doctors wouldn't listen to me, When I tell them...
You started to use...
I was trying to self-medicate myself with marijuana for the sleeping and the eating disorder, which...
Whatever.
That's the beginning symptoms of my illness.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Miss Mortley, I don't want you to get any more upset. Listen to me.
I'm not upset.
And later today...
It was that when they came to us, it was either they were taken to the dog pound to be destroyed, or we were going to keep them.
Mom had told me that I had to take Sheba to the pound.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Trina Mortley says her sister, Tanya Ford, forged her check and took some of her possessions while Trina was in a psychiatric hospital.
Miss Mortley, listen to me. In the brief period of time that we have here, all I can tell you is it's very unfortunate that you have these two kids that have been bounced about. But right now, they're in one place. Do you visit with them?
She won't allow me in the home.
She's too irate. She gets irate, and I can't handle it. I have kids of my own.
Well, listen to me. The children have to see their mother.
Yeah, that's true, and I agree. And I made it neutral, and I made arrangements where I can even take them over to my mom. It can be neutral ground. There won't be no harassment. I don't want to create a scene in front of the kids.
Listen, I think that that's the most important issue that we're going to address today, because we're not going to be able to resolve the issue of your old computer or your CD. Do you have any of those items?
No. Honor, I don't have any of those items. Okay. And I thought I was being helpful by retrieving her stuff because they had a notice on her door. Her stuff was going to be padlocked within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And if I knew this was going to be such a big issue, I would have just left it. Her apartment was broken into. Okay, the place was a wreck when we got there. Stuff was tossed. The apartment manager said she threw clothes, shoes, stuff out the window. It was holes in the wall, curtains, stuff. The place was just totally wrecked.
Well, your sister at that time,
I don't have any other things. She took her, matter of fact.
Your Honor, she's lying, Your Honor.
Okay, no, listen to me.
Yes, she is.
Listen to me.
You weren't even
The most important thing that you have to deal with, and I don't know whether we can deal with it today.
I have documentations to prove that she's lying, Your Honor.
Miss Mortley, the most important thing that you should be concentrating on right now, since you seem to be stable or stabilized, is maintaining contact with your children. But if because you are angry with your sister, which clearly you are, which hopefully you will not be maybe 6 months from now.
We've never had a sisterly relationship.
Okay.
Never.
So,
and
but
it
right
has
now
nothing to do with my illness,
But right
Your
now
Honor.
she's taking care of your children.
She's always taken advantage of me any way she can.
Ms. Mortley, listen to me very carefully, madam. I cannot make a determination whether in 1996 your sister took any of your property. My sense is, no, I have to listen. My sense is that she did not. It seems to me the most important thing that the three of you can do now,
I'm never having a relationship with her, Your Honor. I can't believe how she's lying.
Listen to
me.
me.
I had someone living with me who can testify the condition of my furniture, and I was allowed to visit her in her home, and my furniture was intact all the way until she banned me from her home in December of '97, and that's because her and her boyfriend have a serious gambling problem.
Oh, Lord.
My children...
Miss Mortley, I don't want you to get any more upset. Listen to me.
I'm not upset, Your Honor.
Okay.
I just was trying
I'm
to
getting
present my
upset.
case.
I'm getting upset.
I haven't had a chance to present any documents,
Listen
Your
to
Honor.
me. Miss Mortley, right now your sister has care and custody of your kids. It's important for you to try, and for your sister to try, and for your sister to try, to put a period with regard to whatever has happened in the past, and to try to work towards having a normal relationship with her, because right now she is caring for your children. It's really important. It's probably the most important thing you're going to do. If you can't do that, I think everybody's going to suffer. You, your sister, your mother, and especially your two children. I'm dismissing your lawsuit. I'm dismissing your counterclaim. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now the next case.
Parties on Archambault versus Archambault. Step forward, please.
50-year-old claims administrator Jean Archambault is suing her brother-in-law, Jeff Archambault, 39, over a dog.
This is your brother,
Yes.
your brother-in-law.
That's correct.
Families fighting over a dog. I've read this complaint. Let me see if I understand it. You lived with your brother and his wife for a while. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, I did.
And when you were living there, you owned a dog.
Yes, I did.
What kind of a dog did you have?
Purebred chow.
They're cute. Fuzzy things.
Yes, he is.
And then you left your brother's house, and the dog was left there.
That's correct.
You say that he abandoned the dog.
I'm saying he gave us the dog.
Then he came back and picked it up.
That's correct.
So tell me, how long did you have this dog in your possession?
From June of 1996 till December of 97.
And you want to be compensated for the care that you gave the dog during that 1.5 year period?
No.
Well, what do you want?
I want the dog returned. They told me I had to name a dollar figure when I filed.
That's correct.
On my thing, it just says I want the dog returned.
You understand that I can award you damages, but that I cannot order specific performance of this animal, the return of this animal. Why did you take the dog back, sir?
Well, in the 1.5 years that they had him by himself, he was chained to a tree the whole time. He was never allowed in the house. He was basically raised in the house.
How old was he?
He's 10 now.
And how long did you have him for, you yourself?
My mother gave him to me when he was 4 months old.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
There are only two brothers. You shouldn't let something like this interfere with that.
He causes it.
May cause it, but you're older. You're supposed to stop it.
Well, I just ignore him.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jean Archambault is suing her brother-in-law, Jeff Archambault, over a dog.
How many dogs do you have?
I have 2 now. I have Bear and a little dachshund.
How many dogs do you have?
We have 2 also.
You have 2 other dogs?
2 other dogs.
What kind of dogs do you have?
Chows.
He had the dog for almost 10 years.
It was that when they came to us, it was either they were taken to the dog pound to be destroyed, or we were going to keep them. I begged them not to take them to the pound to be destroyed. They were good dogs. They're still good dogs.
Who was going to have them destroyed?
He said his mother and him were going to take them to the pound.
What do you mean take them?
Take Sheba and Bear. I have his mother's dog still with us, and one of his cats that he left there.
Did you ever say that the dog was going to have to go to the pound, sir?
Not Bear.
Which one?
Sheba. Mom had told me that I had to take Sheba to the pound.
Why?
Because she couldn't take her to my sister's.
How much did you spend on this dog for the year that you had this dog?
We have receipts. We have something from the dog groomer where we take the dogs to the groomers. We have bought dog food, and he did come to us in the garage and say that we could either keep the dogs or they would be destroyed. And
do you think he's taking good care of the dog?
I have no doubt, truthfully, that he is.
What do you have pictures of?
I have pictures of the dogs.
I'd just like to see a picture of Bear.
We don't have a picture of Bear right there.
You have one?
We have pictures
Yes, I
of the
do,
dogs.
Judge. I have several pictures of Bear.
Pick your best one.
That's kind of hard. How about best 2?
Okay. Did you 2 brothers get along before this incident?
Off and on. Off and on. We've had our words with each other. We're family, guaranteed.
Okay. I want you to do me a favor. Sit down for a second. What's your first name?
Dennis?
Dennis. Younger brother?
Yes.
How much younger?
11 years.
How many brothers are there altogether?
Just 2 of us.
Before this incident happened with the dog, were you talking to your brother?
Yes.
Reasonable relationship?
Yes.
Did this come between the 2 of you?
Yes.
I don't want to come in between you and your wife.
I understand.
He feels as if this is his dog. Now, he may not have done the right thing for a 1.5 years, but bottom line is you have 2 other chows.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
And he had this one for 10 years. And it's not worth a family. It's not.
Well,
It's not worth a family. And maybe he didn't do the right thing all the time. I have a feeling that's probably true, that he probably didn't. But certainly, a 10-year-old dog isn't worth breaking up two brothers over. Would you say that that's true?
that's true.
And your first name is?
Jeff.
Jeff. You left this dog with them for a year and a half, right?
Yes, I did.
So it seems to me that you have to compensate your brother in dollars for taking care of your dog for that year and a half. Does that sound fair?
Yeah.
Good.
That's fair.
Good. All right, well, we're getting someplace. So how much do you think it costs to feed this chow, to groom the chow for a year and a half, to take care of all the expenses of a dog for a year and a half?
It's $500 maybe is what it would have cost at the most.
Okay. I want to tell you something. I think that that's reasonable.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
They have two dogs. Now you have one. It was your dog for 9 years, and it seems to me this matter has to be resolved. And if I were to say to you, you must return the dog to your brother and to his wife, I would forever rip apart this family, which sounds to me to be stupid, over a 10-year-old dog.
Yeah,
So, listen to me. So I am awarding you $500 for the care of the dog. Be happy. You're keeping your dog. It's going to cost you $500 for dog sitting for a year and a half. There are only two brothers. If there are only two brothers, you shouldn't let something like this interfere with that.
he causes it. He causes it.
May cause it, but you're older. You're supposed to stop it.
Well, I just ignore him.
Well,
Just like I've ignored the
He's-
money you borrowed from me
he's
too,
your
Dennis.
brother.
That's right. I'm a liar and a
He's your
cheat.
brother. Forget it.
That's right.
All right? You think
agree.
you can do that?
No, Your Honor, I can't forget what Dennis has done to me in my past. I can't.
That's sad. That's really sad.
No.
I mean,
it is sad.
You lived with him for a while? With your mother?
Well, no. My mother supported him for a while. Oh, really?
Oh, listen, there's too much to this case.
Yeah, there is.
There is really too much to this case. You have your dog. It's going to cost you $500. You can't get together as a family. That's sad. That's it. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
খেলতাম না ওপি ওপি শেষ বুয়া বুয়া এই যে বুয়া দেখাই ওয়েট করো এই দিনে ছুড়ে আমি মারবো এই যে বুয়া এই যে বুয়া এই যে একটা গুলি মারবো বুয়া এক কোন বলো যে রুম মধ্যে এমটা 3 লেভেল কে দেখ আষ্টমের মধ্যে তোর কি দিছে তোর কি হেডি তো মারবে নাকি বাইরো না আসলে ইয়ে থেকে বাইরো গ্লু থেকে বাইরো তোমার মারা দেখতো আমার
দিলাম জামু যে আরে সব অ্যাড্রেস দিয়া
পারে না রে একটা প্লেয়ার লাগে পারে না
যে পরিমাণ স্প্যাম করে ওর লগে কেমনে পারমু কও
চমকাই দিবা মাথা মাথা দিয়ে মারি দাও ইউএমপি দাতা দাও ডেজার্ট টিকেল আছে যাইতে মেতে দাও শেষ করে
ও জনে গেছে
এই ভাই আমি খেলবো ভাই আমার একটু দোকানে
ভাই কাস্টমার না বাইকা মানে লিং হাই দেবো
গাইস যারা দেখতেছো অবশ্যই লাইক শেয়ারটা করে দাও ঝটপট করে আমরা বিষয়টা দেখতেছি খুবই হতাশাজনক
আয় হাই ভাই স্ক্রিন শেয়ার অন করা আছে
এই
থাকুক সমস্যা নাই
এই কাস্টমটা ভাঙা আবার মানো মুকুল ভাই আপনি মানেন কাস্টম
ভাইয়া রুম কোডার পাসওয়ার্ডটা দিয়েন
ভাই একটু আমরাও খেলবো ভাই অনেক দেখতে
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা ওই আমি বানাইতেছি আমি কাস্টম বানাইতেছি এক করো
2 ম্যাচ দেখছি
ওকে সো কাস্টম স্টার্ট হয়ে যাবে তোমরা একটু লাইক শেয়ারটা করে দাও ঝটপট করে
ভাই রুম আইডি কও
ভাই আমি
ওয়েট
খেলবো
বানাই নেই
25 26 27 28 29 30 31 32
ভাই চলো
ইফো আমার রুম আইডি বলো
হ্যালো ভাই
ইয়া বলো
মুকুল ভাই
বিল্লাহ
স্ক্রিন শেয়ার
তাহলে কি এখন খেলবা না
বানাও খেলি
চলো বানাও
এই রুম বানাও লাগাই খেলো মিয়া তোমরা মিয়া
কেউ আসো নাকি খেলার মতো ওরে অনেকেই তো আছে
ভাই রুম আইডি কও
রুম আইডি কোন
ভাই আমিও খেলবো
বাপ
কি রুম খুলতে হবে
হ্যাঁ ভাইয়া
ওয়েট করো রাউন্ডটা বাড়াইতাছি
রাউন্ডে বলা
ভাষণের কে লাগাইছে রে
হ্যালো
ভাই তুই ভাষণের অফ কর ভাই আগে আমি কম আই রুম কোড লাও ভাষণের অফ কর
বলো
জিয়াত ইনভাইট দে 155 চেষ্টা করতেছে এ বলো 6v6 খুলতি রে আরে না মানুষ যত বেশি নাই 6v6
ভাই খেলবো ভাই
দাঁড়া আমি চকলেট অ্যাড দিচ্ছি
ভাই বলো না পিন কোড বলো রুম কোড বলো
চকলেট ভাই আসো আচ্ছা সবাই অ্যাড দিচ্ছি আপনার অ্যাড দিতেছি আপনার অ্যাড দিতেছি সবাই অ্যাড মুকুল ভাই অ্যাড দিছি
ভাই
155 বাকি রুম কোড দাঁড়া আর কেউ বাকি +1 আর কেউ বাকি আছে